Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Everyone's Got Shit.
Didn't know I signed up for a WWE match tonight.
And in this corner, weighing in.
Remind me to circle back to WWE. When you got called Ronda Rousey. Okay, sorry.
No, I'm going to keep it. We're going to tell that story now. Don't forget, I got Bella Hadid one time, too. Anyway.
Were they blind?
Screw you. Anyway, sorry, we got a little distracted there. This is my guest, and I'm so excited to have her on because she has so much shit to talk about, so many just interesting things that happened in your life that I'm so excited to talk about with you. I think the viewers are just at pouncing at the bit.
Chomping at the bit?
Chomping at the bit
Yep.
to know what's ahead. What's waiting for them. What we're gonna talk about.
That is true.
And I'm so excited. So first I want to do, today's my first episode with cocktails. And I figured every guest is different. With my mom, I'm not going to be sitting and drinking a cocktail.
Because she doesn't sit and drink coffee.
She doesn't sit and drink cocktails. So that is one thing. With Madison, though, we have margaritas already made. As you could tell in the beginning of this video, I think, she was pouring a margarita. So we've got an extra pitcher ready. And in our back, well, I also have this on my side in case I kind of don't want tequila. I want more of a spritz. And then in the background, in about 5 minutes, I'm sure we'll be reaching for one of those in the cooler. So this is a different episode, and I'm excited for it. But lots of shit to come. Madison.
Here she is.
Here she is in all her glory. In all her glory, let me tell you. And I'm so excited. I think that we should jump on into how you met me. How we know each other. Where our paths collide.
Yeah. I had no chance to not meet you. You were just placed into
you
my
really
life.
had no choice.
Yeah, no, but I mean, for majority of people listening, I think that they know, but we'll just refresh it. Am I not on?
No, it is on. I was just
Okay.
making sure.
Yeah. I mean, my voice is loud enough you could hear it, but I'm sure
Yeah, you might want to stand back from the mic a
this
little bit.
setup at all. But I've known Alex for like 21 years.
Yeah.
I remember it. Alex doesn't because I'm that much older than her. But yeah, we grew up around the corner from each other and have gotten to go to a lot of family events. We're in weddings. You keep looking at the microphone. Is there an issue?
No, I just don't know where. I don't know if I want to look at you, if I want to look there, if I want to look there.
Cool.
I'm just going to look at you.
Yeah, I think I'd say we've always been close, but we got closer in 2019 before the whole world shut down.
Totally.
Because we were in the twins' weddings.
My cousins, the
which
twins.
was so fun.
My cousins.
And we had, us two and Taylor.
My sister, yes.
And everybody else.
So many others. So
Suze.
many IE gals.
Yeah. So
Suze.
Funds of
college gals.
fun bachelorette parties.
Totally, yes.
An abundance of bridal showers.
Just one every weekend.
Just one every weekend. Dress fittings.
Dress fitting, a very humbling experience, let me tell you that.
Alex and I actually switched dresses on Blair's wedding.
On wedding day.
Yeah,
we are
wedding
about
day.
to line up for the aisle, and we just heard like...
It was like a zzz, and
but not the good way.
And Alex said, I think my dress just came undone, and I was like, bitch, that busted open. Like... There wasn't a maybe. My dress just opened up. But yeah, we switched and it was fine. And
thank God.
Alex's was 2 inches too long and mine was 2 inches too short. And that was it. But yeah, so
we've really gone through a lot together.
I swear, Alex has been drinking with us since she was 12. When Alex turned 21, I was like...
Your sister actually texted me and said...
21?
Because I think she texted me a day late and was like... She's like, I'm so sorry, happy belated birthday. She's like, but in my defense, you have been 21 for the past 7 years, so it's a little difficult to remember.
Like, she's at the bar with us as Billie Eilish.
Yes, oh my God, Malarkeys. When I went as Billie, I had teardrop. We went to this themed little birthday thing, and I was Billie Eilish, and I had green roots and the teardrop things down my eyes.
She did. It was so great.
And you? Who are you?
I was Romeo or Michelle, and I actually sent it up on Malarkey's Snap or Instagram.
Because I posted it for your birthday this year.
Yeah, and I just felt like I'd finally made it. Like, I've already made it to the front of the line a couple times.
Totally.
The side door. But now I'm on the stories, and so I just feel like I'm just
Like, they
I'm
should see you and let you in. They're like, Romy?
Or are you Michelle? I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't supposed to be here.
Just let me in.
I swore I wasn't coming out in this stupid outfit with my diamond choker.
Yeah, she swore. She's like, I am not going out looking like this.
Yeah. No, I...
Give us 2 hours. We were out there.
We were out there. It was really fun. But yeah, no, we just family, friends, Riverside, super connected.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have her.
Yeah.
A fun adult relationship now.
Totally, I know. It's transcended.
You know, it's fun. Alex grew up and she can finally have adult conversations.
Yeah.
No, but it's fun and I'm super,
little time.
you know, I guess everybody must have been busy because you had me on your podcast, but hard act to follow with Bo last week.
Yeah, it's gonna
Genuinely
be difficult.
enjoyed every moment of it, so.
So most people do. She's really just reeling it in.
Yeah.
She's loving the fame, let me tell you.
The Tic Tacs,
the Tic Tacs, the Diet Coke, the everything, you know,
everything,
about her.
everything, Bo. But yeah, no, I'm super excited to be on here and talk about my shit.
I'm so excited. You have so much of it. I just can't wait. I can't wait to veer also away from, you know, my story. I guess that'll, you know, maybe intertwine a little bit, but, you know, I don't have to talk all about it anymore. That's for Tuesdays at 11 a.m.
You don't even have to talk. Let me take it over.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just going to turn my mic off, sit back, and drink this.
It's a miracle you've gotten this many words in. So.
I know, it really is. It really is. So you know what? I think, because I could see this going for 4 hours,
Yeah.
I think that we dive right on into it. And so when I approached someone to have a guest on, I usually will like make a Google Doc and I'm like, these would be interesting topics to talk about. I'll send it over to them and I'll be like, just sent you a Google Doc with what I think would be interesting, but obviously it's your life story. Take anything out that you don't want, and if you're like, hey, I'd love to talk about this, then great, you can talk about it. So Madison sees the Google Doc that I sent over, and what did you say to me?
I think I was like, wow, Alex, like I'm so flattered that you want to talk about my college journey because nobody has ever thought about asking me about why I went to community college. They just assumed I was fucking stupid. Like a fucking loser. Like, oh God, she went to community college because she doesn't have grades. Which, I'll be honest, I wasn't the girl you always wanted to cheat off in high school.
Not always.
Not always. But I wasn't stupid. It just was a journey. So,
exactly.
yeah, it was really, I haven't really never talked about it. And
no, and I'm so excited. Well, because I think now, especially with college, and I mean, I love college, like, you know, go get your higher education. But I think, like, when you can take a class about, like, Taylor Swift and, you know, all these different things, I think that there's some times where it's like, I'm paying this much for, you know, this class. What I think, and I think a lot of times people will go to these great 4-year universities and then they'll get out and they'll end up getting a job based on something that they did not study.
Right.
And doing something that they hate. Not all the time, but a lot of times. But for you, you had a very different journey, and you ended up doing something that you absolutely love and are passionate about. That is why I wanted to talk about it, not to talk about what a loser you were 5 years ago.
No, it's just like funny to add to the story.
Oh, absolutely.
What they say, humor is a Band-Aid?
Humor is a Band-Aid.
Yeah, so I went to, I mean, do you want me to jump into it?
Yeah, jump into it.
Yeah.
You jump in.
Went to Poly High School.
Go Bears.
Go Bears, that's right. But yeah, I was there all 4 years. I played volleyball pretty competitively, and thought that would be like my end goal, to play. And at a very young age, started getting interest from colleges, and I think it's funny because like my parents and I will joke about it now to be like, oh God, you could barely get grades in high school, and I'm like, I had a 3.0 average. Like I got B's, maybe a couple C's in there, but I averaged it out with the A's, you know,
exactly.
like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I played volleyball competitively. I was playing like, I don't know, 42 weekends out of the year and traveling, and had interest from colleges. So I just automatically assumed that that's what I was going to do and was going to go to school, and none of it really mattered. I didn't really think about college.
Yeah.
And then my senior year, I just like kind of flat out burned out on volleyball. It was a really competitive environment. I played with a lot of the same girls in high school that we did club, and we were practicing 4 or 5 nights a week, and we were driving to Laverne at 6 o'clock, coming home at 11:30, then having to get up. And I just like really had this like come to Jesus moment that I was like, I don't want to do this in college. Mm-hmm. So, one night I randomly just went to my club team and was like, I'm not playing. Like, I'm done.
We really?
Yeah. Like, I just showed up.
It's funny. I don't know a lot of this.
Yeah. I just showed up. And, like I said, I would have gone somewhere for school. Mm-hmm. I just couldn't, like, I don't know, you just couldn't bear it anymore. Like, it gave me a
burnt
lot
out.
of, that was, like, the first time I'd really experienced, like, I think a ton of anxiety, where I was like, wow, this is becoming work, and volleyball had never been work for me. So I was really thinking, like, could I do this? And my coach was really intense, and I know that, like, the higher level you get, the more intense it gets, and it becomes a job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just drove out there one night, and I don't even know if I told my parents, you know, to be honest. Like, I think I kind of mentioned I was not really into it, and maybe my parents were like, I think my parents were probably like, well, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do?
You're like, oh, wait till you hear the plan I have in
Like,
store.
wait until I tell you what I'm going to do. And so, yeah, I went out there and told him I quit, and my coach was like, I think he told me, like, what a waste of talent, and I'm not kidding. And
Burn.
that was his personality, and they said I would, you know, the owner called and said, like, hey, at any point, like, if you're just burnt out and at any point you want to come back and play, then, like, there's a spot for you on the team. And, yeah, I never went back. I stopped playing.
How did you feel after that? Were you like,
Oh, it was,
yeah.
no, that's, like, I think, and we can get into the community college thing too, but a lot of what that was, like, my first experience with mental health. Like, I realized, and it's really crazy because I have a lot of friends that went on to play college and went on to play professionally, and I, like, talk about our experience, but my entire identity, which it's, like, so funny to think, you're still figuring yourself out in high school, but, like, my entire identity was Madison, the volleyball player. That's who people recognized me as. That's what I did. So I stopped playing volleyball, and for the first few weeks, it was great. I had this free schedule, but then I really started to get super anxious and started to realize, like, I had no idea who I was as a person. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't have any hobbies. Volleyball was it for me. Going to the river, like, sure, hanging out with friends. Yeah. But it was really hard for me to, you know, I guess these were new emotions that I had, and, like, was actually just depressed on, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? Yeah. And it was really one of those, I had no idea what I was going to do. So that was, like, my first real battle with mental health. So, yeah, no, I didn't feel good about it. Yeah. There were times where I was like, I should have just stuck with it.
You just done it.
Where I was like, oh, God, like, what am I going to do? My parents were right. I have no plan. And luckily I have, like, parents that are so, they, like, foster such a caring environment and were able to, like, walk with me in that when I would let them, you know. But I was, like, angry. I think that there was things that come to find out later that it was, like, anger, and I think I felt like a lot of people ruined it for me versus me burning out on volleyball. It was burning out on the competitive.
It wasn't like, you loved playing, I loved
playing.
But yeah.
Even now, I still don't. It's, like, it was just so competitive and so toxic that I think I realized, like, wow, I have so much stuff to work through. So that was really where I was in this totally lost space. I was like a lost little puppy. Like, oh my God, all my friends knew what they were doing. I just didn't have a claim to fame anymore. Like, I kind of was like, what am I going to do?
At what point in high school were you when you did this?
I was a senior.
So had you played, because volleyball's fall, girls volleyball, had you played?
I played my senior season, had a great season. My coach Kyle came from club, and he took over the program my junior year. And I didn't know this, but he came the junior year, and he was a coach at a couple other high schools before, but he came to Poly because he was like, I just wanted you to have a fun time. Which he was, like, such a saint for that. And he did make it, like, such a fun environment, whereas club, it wasn't fun. You know, it was so competitive. And in high school, he did. Like, he really built the team, and it's, like, as selfish as it sounds, like, he really built it around me and who's going to have fun and who's going to get us there, and he really wanted us to get a win. I ended my senior year, actually, which I forget about sometimes, MVP of the Big 8 League. So
Madison Dreyer.
I know, claim to fame, humble brag. But no, I actually just forget about it. Like, I forget that. Is it hot in here?
Yeah.
I'm a little hot.
Can you cool down?
Can I cool down?
You turn the fan on. It's like, what methods do you have, like, cooling down?
About myself, and I'm like, who would have thought Madison gets shy
talking about Madison herself? Gets shy about talking about herself.
I think it's above you.
Nope. Not that one.
Cozy.
There we go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
So I'd gotten that award, and then seriously, I think, like, 2 months after that, I was like, I'm done. So yeah.
So then, okay, so it's your senior, like, what, like, just thinking, like, applications wise, what you have to have most applications in by, like, December. September?
Yeah.
Definitely like December.
So luckily, I had submitted a few applications, and I think I applied to U of A. I think I applied to Santa Clara. I don't know where I applied. Like, I applied to a few places, and swore to God, like, I'm not staying here. I'm leaving. You know, whatever. So luckily, I had done that. My parents were like encouraging me to apply. Mm-hmm. So I had done that at least, but I had ended, and I was like, oh my God, I don't even know if I'm going to get in anywhere.
Yeah. And then at what point? Well, I mean, you can say whether you got into some of those or not.
No, I did. I know for sure I ended up getting into U of A. And I was like, okay. Taylor Hunt, who was Riverside.
Yeah.
She actually sent me like the cutest package, and like Courtney Hayner had gone there in Austin, and everyone's like, you should come. And my parents were like, yeah, do whatever you want. Like, at that point, I was like, oh my God, like, thank God I got in somewhere, because what am I going to do, you know?
Yeah.
But there was just something in me that it just didn't settle right. Yeah. It didn't. I was super anxious about it. Mm-hmm. Even like the leaving home aspect, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to go here, and it was all overwhelming. But I think that the underlying theme was that, like, I was seriously so, like, I didn't know myself at all. Mm-hmm. So I think going away to college, like, my internal self was like, you're going to fail so hard. Like, you are not going to be good. You're going to get there and be in this self-identity or whatever, or this crisis of identity, and you're not going to do well. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was a lot more than just being like, well, I'll go to community college. Yeah. Like, it was so much more than that. And that's why I said thank you for bringing it up, because I think also our Riverside's so great, but like there's a lot of like expectations for where kids are going to go, and they start asking you your sophomore year. I don't know, the way I look at it, like, I had to raise my hand senior year of high school to go to the bathroom, and then I graduate in June 4th or whatever. I'm like,
and I'm moving to Tucson, baby.
What are you gonna do with your life? Like, I'm supposed to have it figured out, and I'm like, can I go to the bathroom?
It's like, you didn't say may I.
Yeah.
You didn't say may I.
Okay. Like,
you said can.
Can I? Try again.
That
is grammatically incorrect. Like, whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of, and I think I think for me there's such a stigma around it, and I think it's happening less and less, but like, we can get into the community college route, but like, it's so funny the things people said to me.
Yes.
Like, you know,
wait, so like, okay, just at what point did you decide, like, you said no to U of A and wherever else, and like when did you decide community college is right, and also like approaching your family being like, this is what I want to do? What was that reaction?
Yeah, so my parents were actually the ones that like were saying, my dad was saying, like, go to community college, you know. Oh, sorry about that line. It's just a slider.
Community college did not teach her everything.
Did not teach me everything. Sorry. No, my dad was the one actually that was like, why don't you consider going to community college? Because they knew I was struggling so badly mental health wise. So my dad's like, you just might not be ready to go. Why don't you just stay here? And I was so resistant. I was like, oh my God, over my dead body would I do that? Like, blah, blah, blah. But I think April maybe of that year is when at some point money was due. Mm-hmm. And I think I put it down.
May 1st.
May 1st. So I put a deposit down for U of A. And then I think it must have been right around there that I was like, okay, forget it. Yeah. I'll just go to community college.
Mm-hmm. That's great that your parents were like, because I always get when I have like this decision in my head, but I have to approach my parents, now, you know, just my mom, about it. Like, I have this knot in my stomach of, like, every scenario of, like, she's going to say no, or she won't like this decision about, like, you overthink it. And so to have, like, immediately their support, and then it was just kind of fully your decision is, like, just a little bit of, like, a release, which I think is nice.
No, it was. It was really, and it's funny because, like, I always am so resistant to my parents' advice. I'm like, oh my God, shut up. You guys know nothing. You guys are just 60 years old. Just shut up. You guys know nothing. I know everything. At 18, I'm like, fuck you guys. I know everything. Don't tell me what to do. And meanwhile, I'm inside. I'm like, he's so right. He's so right. He's so right. He's so right. But it was like I felt like such a societal pressure, actually. Not with any, like, one particular person. It was just in general the stigma around going to community college. Yeah. May is when I decided, and that was it. And a lot of my anxiety did go away, which is funny. Like, a lot of it, I've made a decision, and that was it.
Yeah, sometimes the anxiety of just having to make a decision is overwhelming, and then you make the decision. And it's like, okay, like,
Yeah.
I've made this decision. I'm going to go full force with it because you have no other choice, basically. I mean,
Totally.
kind of.
I mean, and especially when it's coming from, like, I'm such a fear-based person.
Yeah.
That I realize now, like, I didn't have anxiety about going. I had anxiety about, okay, well, what are people going to say? What's going to happen? What am I going to do? And it just felt really overwhelming.
Yeah.
And at that age, I just wasn't mature enough to realize, like, look, you just made this huge life decision with stopping pursuing volleyball. So, like, give it time and nurture that, and then it'll happen.
Yeah.
Things will happen. But,
exactly.
Everyone was going away to school, and everyone had this excitement about college, and I just didn't, like, at all. It was just a little depressed.
Well, it's so hard to, and I feel like, and, like, when I had to make a decision, I feel like so much, and it's so sad, of based on where you choose to go is based on what other people are going to think.
Yes.
Like, a lot of it is like, yeah, will I be happy there? Of course, you're the one ultimately going there. But so much of it is like, oh, I get to say I'm going here. I get to say I'm going here. And it's like, then you get there and it's just, I think it's more important actually once you get out of college, it's how hard you're going to work afterwards.
Totally.
My dad would always tell me, he goes, I don't care if I was interviewing a guy from Stanford and a guy from, U of A. If I like the U of A guy more, I think he's going to work harder, I'm going to hire him.
Totally.
It's like, it's based on how hard you're willing to work afterwards and during and everything. I mean, I don't know.
And even in high school, people would tell you, like, oh, they're going to look at you're not going to look at your grades, but they're going to look at where your degree came from. Well, being out of college now, like, I'm telling you, no one's looking to where I got my degree from. I have the degree.
Exactly.
And they don't care what I got.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
speaking of that, what was it like then? Okay, you've made this decision. You're going to go RCC, baby. Go Tigers. Rakaka.
Yeah.
What was that? Okay, so then you get back to what I'm sure everyone's like, I'm going.
Yeah, well,
USC,
everyone was.
Here. Like,
I mean, we had a graduation party. And, like, with 5 people, and everyone's, like, going somewhere. My friend Kyle, like, barely graduated high school, so, like, shout out Kyle. But, like, he barely got through high school, which was traumatizing for him. But, like, it was with, like, Hayden and Isabel and Mitchell and Kyle and me and Chris Suika, maybe. And everyone's going somewhere except for Kyle.
Yeah.
And me. So Kyle and I were like, I'm like, thank God. But, yeah, I mean, it was, like, I felt this, and it's funny because I don't think I ever felt insecure about going to RCC. It was the pressure, like I said, the societal pressure that made me feel like I wasn't going to go anywhere. Yeah. I wasn't going to do anything. Oh, God, she doesn't know what she's doing. And it was just this. And I also think, too, back in the day, like, well, being 18, but also being back in the day, now, like, therapy and mental health, it's like the new black. Everybody does it. Everybody has it. And I think there was a shame aspect. There was a shame aspect going to community college, but I think there was a shame aspect also of, like, why don't I feel like my friends do? I'm anxious and I'm all of these things. And I just had this different battle that was almost in the dark a little bit. Yeah. So, yeah, everybody decided they were going to go, and everyone did go. Yeah. They all went, which I was happy for them. And I was at home. I was home. Yeah.
It's just, it's hard when it's, like, society, like, this is the path you have to follow for success, and when you go off the beaten path, it's like, it's scary because I feel like you're more actually in charge of carving your own path versus like I'm settled here for 4 years, and then because that's what everyone's done. For you, it was like, I've got to figure out a lot of things, and that is terrifying, especially as an 18-year-old. Like,
well, yeah, and that's the thing too. Is it's funny because like, I couldn't even tell you what I liked to do. Yeah. Let alone, let me go pick a career. Like, okay, sure, let me go do it. Like, like, no, like, everything was a commitment for me. So just going to school, and honest to God, thank God I did it, because I switched 3 times before I even found what I wanted to do. But yeah, it's funny, like, the pressure that you feel, but people would say things, like my friends, and they didn't realize, like, they thought they were, like, hyping me up, but I'll never forget, like, we were coming home from a party one night, and there were, like, a few of my, like, good friends, and to be honest, it just makes me laugh, because, like, the scene, you have to realize, like, we're all, I'm 2 weeks away from being a Tiger. Like, 2 weeks. I am sold on this situation. On this decision.
Tiger
like,
bound.
Tiger baby, RCC, let's go. Like, just picked up my parking pass. Like.
Just got my gear.
Like, I'm going there. And we're walking home. Mind you, like, a couple Four Locos, like MD 2020, just disgusting crap. And somehow it gets brought up once again, like, I'm in the spotlight. You know, everyone else is going to school, but Madison going to
Everyone's
RCC
talking
is,
about
like,
me.
Everyone's talking about me. And I remember, like, one of my good friends, and they did not mean it to be mean or They were, like I said, they were trying to hype me up, but they go, like, I can't believe you're going to RCC. Only fucking losers go there. You're going to be sitting in class with fucking losers. And I'm like, oh my, like, what do you want me to say? Like, am I supposed to be like, I'm not a loser? Like,
yeah.
no. Like,
hey!
And I was like, and I remember, like, one of my other friends was like, okay, like, hold on a second. Like, let's wait. But it was just, like, so funny. And then even, because I eventually was not a Tiger anymore, and I moved up to Santa Barbara, which was super fun. But it's funny, like, living in a UC, like, little town.
Yeah.
The community college is very frowned upon.
Yeah.
And, like, even going there, I was like, okay, whatever. But it'd be funny to be like, just say you're from UCSB. Like, and I'm always
when you went to Santa Barbara City.
Like, yeah, I went to Santa Barbara City, sorry. And people are like, yeah, just say you're doing nursing at UCSB. I'm like, they don't have a nursing program. They're like, just me. I'm like, okay. And then they're like, yeah, I'd be like, yeah, I'm at UCSB. And they're like, doing what? I'm like, nursing. And the guy's like, we have a nursing program? I'm like, yeah, I'm in it.
It's new.
Like,
I'm the first student.
Like, I'm starting it. I'm so smart. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like there's just total shame around it from my friends. Like, people, and again, like, I think it just made it easier, but it was just so frowned upon that I just became, like, very insecure about where I went. Yeah. But it is really funny, like, looking back, I'm like, oh, God, like, a lot of the insecurity that was stemmed was from my own friends, you know? Like...
Isn't it always?
It always is.
Family and friends. Not from us, personally. We have to get it from somewhere.
You have to get it, but, like, yeah, it was, so I went up there, and it was totally fine. I mean, it was fun, and I was with, like, my best friend Dom, and my good friend Mitchell, and, like, I was with so many people, and there was still, though, like,
your community.
Like, shh, don't say that, you know? So...
if you want to hang out with us, just one rule.
Yeah, and then it would be funny, actually, I'd be at parties, and people would be like, find out that I went to community college, and I'm like, wow, you're, like, really cool. You're, like, smart. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cake
you're
stand! Like, I'm so cool.
She's upside down on the cake stand. They're like, wait, you go to community college? You're, like, taking it out of your mouth. You're like,
yeah. Go Vaqueros! Go Tigers! Like... yeah, you know.
You've seen it all. You've done it all.
I've seen it all. I've done it all. I made it out.
Exactly.
Like, it's just,
pour another drink for that.
Like, come on.
Wish we had a keg in here. That's the one thing that we missed is a keg.
Right.
We've got a cooler. We've got a refill.
In the future, we will do, like, a house party.
Oh, exactly.
But it'll be community college house party.
Community college. That should be a theme party. We should have that.
Oh, yeah. Let's make fun of community college kids more. Let's make them feel bad about it.
No, they're the only ones invited.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, house party. Trust me, I had no shortage of partying. Like, my friends, you know? God.
But what I love so much about your story, your life story,
tell me,
is that you made it out on the other side.
Totally.
But what I love is you made it out happy. Like, you're not just like, okay, I studied, art. Now I'm going to go do sales. Like, you know.
Yeah, no, it was a very long journey.
But I want to get into, because you said you switched 3 times, and, like, you know, I was on the ride along. I went to the grad parties.
Yeah, you did.
I was there.
You did.
Had a few too many of these. Had a couple of them.
I will say that the Christmas one, when I graduated from CBU, my dad thought, like, you know, Alex she just about knocked over my mom's Christmas tree, which if you have ever been to my house during Christmas, my mom spends...
not knock the Christmas tree over.
Hours decorating the house. It's like,
I don't know where that line went.
Great.
It's fine. Well, it's actually your house. I don't know. Is it fine?
No, it's fine. My mom spends hours, and Alex is just like, boom, like jumping, and like people are holding her up. She looks like, what's the character from Wizard of Oz that can't... the Scarecrow.
Yeah, the Scarecrow.
Yeah, like she literally can't. Her feet are never stopping, and my dad's like, "Oh, that's fine, right?" Like spinning around. She's like, "Yeah." Like, and it's
this video of me,
like,
just going in circles.
And then, like, I think an hour later, it's her at the toilet puking.
No.
No,
I don't think so.
I think so.
I just walked to Brick and Blair's.
Okay, whatever.
I don't know.
Rumor has it, Alex puked at the Christmas party.
I think it was more due to the spinning.
Okay, the spinning for sure. The spinning.
Than the cake.
But yeah, where were we going with that?
Oh, okay, because I was talking about
party.
I was part of the journey of I watched you. I watched
You fostered
you grow.
an environment of acceptance that let me flourish as a person.
Exactly. And here I am again letting you tell your story. So I just am, if I'm not the maid of honor, hopefully one day you can have a maid of honor.
Well, that's another subject for
another subject. Anyway, let's get into this. But your journey of like, what did you start with, and then, or you could talk a little bit about what you do now, and then how you got there, and why you became passionate about that. Whatever you want to do, you go.
Yeah, so, I mean, now I'm a speech and language pathologist, and I work with special education from preschool to 5th grade, and I do love my career. I hate my job right now, just because pandemic education's really hard, but I do, like, love it. But yeah, going into school, I think the only real guidance that I knew what I like to do is, like, the only thing I knew I liked to do was to help people.
Yeah.
So I actually didn't even know speech was a career. Like, I truly didn't know. So when I went into RCC, I decided, like, oh, I'm going to be a psychologist. And then someone told me how much schooling it takes to be a psychologist. And
it's a lot. I've looked it up.
It's the same as speech. So back in the day, I was like,
oh,
yeah. Well, I wanted to do, like, probably school psych.
Yeah.
I'll take a break. Look, you even got ice in that drink.
I know, that's good.
Like, that's
impressive.
Community college gets you that. We know how to make a good one.
Knows how to make a drink.
We know how to make a drink. Yeah, so I went into RCC, and I don't even know if you have to declare what you want to be. I can't remember. It was so long ago, but I think that if you wanted to do school psych, it was like, psychology, here's the route that here's the classes you need to take. So I went there, and then, a few classes in, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not really into the psych thing when I found out about schooling. I was like,
totally.
That's way too much. So I was like, I'm just at community college. I can't even think
Let's
about
slow it
that.
down here.
Like, that's
Let's
crazy.
slow down.
That's a little ambitious for a girl at community college. And yeah, so then I switched to nursing, and I actually did actively pursue nursing up until
you with schooling, you're like, let me go to nursing school. That'll be less.
Well, yeah. I was like, I suck at biology. Like, I'm good at neuroanatomy, but that's about it.
Oh.
Like, but basic, just anything. And like, I also, it was just dumb. Like, I did that, and then I was finishing up at Santa Barbara, and I was just about to be done to apply to all the nursing schools, and I did an EMT course. And then I was like, oh shit, like, I don't want to do this. So then I felt like a failure again, because I was like, oh, totally. Great. So I had this career path, and I'm going to go back to my parents and tell them, like, I don't want to do this. So I was like, oh my God, okay, I'll just do the EMT course. And the things I saw were like, I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I think in Santa Barbara, like, I went
isn't that like ambulance driver?
Well, I didn't, so you, like, be on the ambulance, and that's what I had to do. I had to do, like, 4 ride-alongs.
Oh.
And then a hospital shadow.
Okay.
So, like, you could work ER or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I got into because they were like, oh, you want to be a nurse? This guy will take you on to shadow. I was like, cool. So I went on the ambulance, and, like, the first 5 calls I went on were, like, homeless people that had overdosed, and they're like, get the Narcan. And I'm like, what? And then they're like, they like, dead, and they wake up, they're like, fuck you killed my high. And I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. And then I saw an older woman, like 80s, she fell and cut her whole arm open. And it was like, there's no elasticity in the skin. Yeah. And so when they were putting the stitches in, like, you can imagine, I realized I was like,
yeah.
And not much makes me, like, woozy.
But
that made me woozy. And then I just saw the whole, like, emergency room. And I realized, like, oh my gosh, you never know what, like, happens to these people unless you form relationships, which, like, my friends that work NICU, they, like, get in contact with the parents of the babies, and they'll see them and follow each other on Instagram. But I was like, this is not what I want to do. Yeah. So again, I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm going to switch it again. And at this point, too, I'm like 22. So people are graduating college. So I feel like I'm just really behind. I still haven't even hit that 4-year. At this point, people are like, yeah, she's still there.
They're like, what's Madison doing?
She's like, she's a fifth year. She's a 5th year.
Super senior.
Yeah, like, here I am, She's redshirting. Yeah, so I ended up just telling my parents, like, I had, like, a meltdown again, like, per usual. Just my like, early years were, like, just full of meltdowns. It was, like, a buildup of 6 months, and then being like, I don't know what I want to do. Oh, my God. And my dad's like, yeah.
He's like, all right.
He's like, I don't blame you. I don't really know if you like the schedule. So I came home, stopped going to school, actually, for, like, I don't know, maybe 6 months. Ended up, long story short, moving down to Newport. I worked for an interior designer, which was super fun. Took my mind off of, like, what I wanted to do. I thought, like, for a second, maybe I'd pursue that. Like, who would have known? I mean, my grandma's a great interior designer. My mom, my auntie, like, does run in the family, but I didn't know I had the talent. And I ended up I was a retail person at first, and I was so bad at retail. Like, they'd be like, "Is it worth the $60?" And I was like, "Honestly, no." And my boss was like, "You can't do that."
Don't
you know,
do
like
it.
my friends were coming in. I'm like, "You want my discount?" She's like, "You can't give everybody a 40% off discount." She's like, "Let's see if you're good at
Madison D. Just type in Madison D.
I'm like, yeah, it's Madison 10.
Code
It gets you
Madison
10 off.
10% off.
And yeah, just make sure you tag me. And every time you repost your story, it gives you 100 chances to win the next giveaway. So this is like whatever. So I lived down there. It was super fun. My best friend Ashley was with me. Like, we just had a great time. My boss was like, "Yep, why don't you come be my assistant?" So it was super fun. I worked with her. But then my dad, you know, of course, he's like, "If you don't go back to school, you're never going to go back to school. You got to figure out what you want to do. If you want to do design, then go to school." But I was still like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to do this forever. Totally. You know, it sounds like a commitment. And
screw those.
Screw a commitment. But yeah, I just didn't feel into it. And it actually, like, just totally, like, was a God thing that Lita Vey Honcherik, who's a speech and language pathologist, she's a Riverside friend. I didn't really know her well, actually. But she was like, "Oh, I'll sit down with Madison and tell her about speech." I don't know if she knows about it, but with speech, it's like you can work with kids, you can work with adults, you can work with babies, like NICU babies, because we do swallowing as well, so feeding with them. You can work hospitals, you can work schools. She's like, "Let's just sit down." So we went to Starbucks. She told me about it. Sounded super interesting. I was like, "All right, I'll apply to Cal Baptist, and if I get in, then I'll go back to school." Well, they told me it would be like 3 weeks before I heard back. I was getting really close to that winter semester because this was like December. They started January. Yeah. So like, crap, if I don't get in, I'm not going to be able to start again until the fall or the summer. And 2 days later, they said, "Congratulations, you're accepted." You know, I was finally a 4-year...
Tiger to Lancer, baby. Tiger to Lancer.
Up, baby.
Lance up.
Yeah, so it's, honest to God, it was Lita Vey. Like, she just sold it so well. And I remember going to school. My dad's like, "What if you're not going to like this?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Well, then check it off the box. Check it off the list. Check the box.
What's $20,000?
What is $20,000? It's for my happiness. Money is priceless.
What's $20,000 from the girl that made $15 an hour? Yeah, but you know.
Don't worry, Dad. You can use my discount code.
Use Madison 10. It gets you no money off. It just promotes me.
Just promotes me. It raises my commission.
Like, that's pretty much it. I'm like, "Mom, if you go to school at CBU, then we could get a discount." Because family
discount. Yeah, go get another degree.
You guys will be broke, but it's fine. So I ended up sitting in my first class. Absolutely loved it. And loved it so much I went and got my master's there too.
There you go. And you do have to get a master's.
So I worked, actually how I met Maddie, and I'm living in this house. When I graduated with my bachelor's, I got asked to work at Wonder Lab, which is a pediatric clinic here. And it's physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech. Lita Vey was my supervisor, which was super cool. So I went from like getting into the field from her to now being supervised by her. And Maddie's a physical therapist there. So she's become one of my best friends, and like it all worked out fine. Yeah, you know. But yeah, it was like honest to God, like a fate thing. And I remember Jeff Solomon once told me, because I was panicking. I was like, "I don't know what I'm gonna do," and I was like, "Just get me a job, you know." He's like, "Just want to make money?" I'm like, "Yeah, just get me a job." And he's like, "Well, do you like what I do? Like, do you like sales? Like, whatever." I'm like, "I don't know." Like, when I told them, I remember telling them I'm such a POS, but I was like, they're like, "You got to work a lot of hours." I'm like, "Okay, I can work Monday through Thursday, but I do not work evenings. I don't work Friday, Saturday, or Sunday." And the guy's like, "Okay, so..."
Like, I'm willing to work 10 to 2 every Monday through Thursday.
But it even 10's a little spotty. Because if spin happens and I'm going to get out at 10, I can't make it till 11.
Sometimes they go over, sometimes the instructor.
Depends on how greasy my hair is. Like, do I need to wash it or not?
Wash or dry shampoo.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember him saying, like, "You're panicking." I was crying. I'm like, "I don't know what I want to do." And I remember him just saying to me, like, "Look, when life, you're going to basically, like, run into your career path. Like, you can't miss it, and it'll happen." And he was so stinking right. Like, I was older. I was 24 when I went into CBU. I graduated at 26 and then started my master's that same year. Yeah, so it was fine. It was done at 28, and, like, I'm thriving. Yeah, exactly. And now I work, and I, like, absolutely love my job, and I will say that there's, like, not many days. Like, I don't ever leave there, and I'm like, oh, my God, I chose the wrong career. And it's comforting because I have a lot of friends that do speech or, like, do physical therapy, and we all talk, and everybody's a little iffy about their job right now. Just because it's a lot of demand, and the pandemic, like, from a speech and language aspect, there's a huge need right now in the schools because kids were out for 18 months, and you just kind of feel like you can't do it all.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
That's so fun. Yeah, that's so true. You just kind of run in it. It'll hit you in the face. Like
it
your
really
career, what
does.
You're
and anybody that panics about it, like, I swear, even, like, schooling, I was talking to my friend's cousin, and he's a twin, and his sister is a softball player. He does track and field, and she ended up getting a full ride to Texas A&M, maybe, and for softball, but he hasn't gotten anything. And he was saying that there's, like, such a pressure now to, like, either try to get recruited, you know, for track and field, or, like, to go to RCC. And he was like, it's just like, I don't want to do that. And then we were talking, and he was like, wow, not that I'm, like, telling him what to do, or, like, but he was like, wow, it's, like, so normal. And I'm like, yeah, so many people that you go there, like, you don't realize how many athletes are going there to try to get to the next level, or just people in general. But I was like, you give yourself 2 more years to grow and figure out what you want to do, and then you can go transfer out.
Exactly.
It's not the big deal.
The quarterback from Georgia, you know, they just won the national championship. He transferred from, I don't know what community college, but I know that he did.
Go Tigers.
Yeah. He was at RCC, actually, and then
I know him.
Yeah. But you're good friends with him.
Yeah, it took me that long to get out.
Yeah,
of
even
RCC.
though he's
yeah, no, it took me that long to get out of RCC.
took you that long, you know. You're actually on the sidelines. Like,
I was there. I was cheering. I also pursued a cheerleading degree. Also, I was like, let's do this. This sounds fun.
Because I look good in a miniskirt.
Yeah, great dancer.
Miniskirt and a crop top.
So flexible. You can kick that leg all the way up there. Yeah, no.
Like, that's why I walked in and quit volleyball.
I was like, because I thought I had a career in cheerleading. Like, can't keep a beat.
Threw a spandex away for a miniskirt.
Yeah. Put the spandex on underneath the miniskirt.
Yeah, spandex underneath the miniskirt.
Thank you. So I was just talking to him, and I was like, yeah, just kind of like, it works out. It's like really bizarre. And it's funny to, like, think about it, but had I not done community college, I probably would not have found speech. You know, I'm pretty open about, like, my therapy background, and, like, pretty much right after high school, I started, like, going to therapy and, like, really doing the self-work and, like, working through things of, like, quote-unquote childhood trauma and, like, you know, all the buzzwords with therapy. But really, it was just a space that I went, and I was like, I have no idea what I want to do, but now it feels really good of, like, okay, if I only had to put in, like, a few hard years of being, like, super lost, then now at 29 to sit here and be like, I'm so confident in who I am, and I know what I want and what I want to do, and, like, to feel total contentment, I guess, with where I am. Like, maybe locationally would be nice to be a little bit different, but even, you know, I have times where I'm like, is that just a societal pressure because I'm still in the Inland Empire, you know? Like, so I work through that a lot, but, you know, I went through a few different counselors, and they helped me through different seasons, and just graduated from my last counselor, baby. She just told me she didn't want to see me, and I was like, oh, I still got problems.
Yeah, you're like, whoa,
I'm like, okay,
just go
here's
away.
the deal. I'm going to send you my podcast, Everyone's Got Shit, and then you're going to dissect it, and then you're going to charge me.
Exactly, that's
to come see you. But no, like, it's just, it was really great, and I think it just opened my eyes, and I think I've gotten to, like, provide a lot of counsel to different people in weird ways, because I was like, like, no one was more lost than 18-year-old Madison. Whether that one, I'm not kidding. Like, no one was more lost than I was, and I don't think people know that. Yeah, no,
we were talking on the phone last night about the episode, and then just even through this, I really didn't know. Like, I mean, I was younger then. Like, when you were 18, I was only maybe 10, like 10 years old. Like, I was just getting off.
Your mom said that's enough.
She's good. Yeah, so I wasn't thinking, like, you know, as 10-year-old Alex, I wasn't like, is Madison just really lost right now? She's just, I'm talking to everyone, all her friends and her family. I'm like, she just needs to find her way, you guys.
I just got done with therapy, and something's telling me that Madison is off, you know?
She's off, yes.
God. And it's like, I mean, it happens at any point in your life. Like, it's funny, you watch, like, older generations, and some people go through, like, their midlife crisis, and it's like, well, I went through it. I went through it at 18, and like it is scary when it happens, but then you still have seasons of struggle, and I think that season of struggle was so important for me because I got to go through that season of struggle in like a very protected environment because I couldn't imagine going to school and then feeling like depressed and anxious and being away from home and partying and trying to keep up with it all, because I think it would have been a train wreck.
Yeah, and that's another, like, going to college is another, the, like, societal pressure of, depending where you go, but of, like, Greek life and partying, and not saying, like, I get, like, I'm involved in it, and I love it, and I love the people I've met in the community that I have there, but, like, there is pressure to, like, have the college experience, and...
Totally, which, to be honest, like... I don't know. I'm not really lacking friends, so like, so I don't know. If
You've
I
got
need
me,
to go,
baby. You've got me.
Like, Greek life, baby. But like, you know, it was funny. Like, okay, well, you're gonna go to U of A. Like, oh, great, I'm in this story. And it was that recruitment, where I was just like, dude, I just barely know my name at this point. Like, I am not well. Yeah. And so it was totally. And there's no knock on anybody that does 4-year, you know, like, good for you. I mean, go for it. I mean,
if you want.
I mean, are you in school or like, do you want me to give you my counselor's number at RCC?
Oh, I got my own. Oh, yeah, RCC. Yeah.
You could have my counselor's number too. She's down the street, but no, it's like funny to talk about. That's why I thought it was really cool because I genuinely hadn't talked to anybody about it. Yeah. Everyone was just like, oh, like, and even in college, like, RCC, do you know where you want to go? You want to transfer? I'm like, I just started, like yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
And I barely made it to my 6 p.m. class because that's how unmotivated I am to be in school. Like, you know, not because I'm stupid, just because it was like, no, people know I'm not stupid.
Oh, my God. You're a genius.
No, I know.
You're the genius in our neighborhood. Everyone said, go to Madison. She's the genius.
I go except for math. Like, math, literally.
Oh, math. I think we should talk about calculus.
Oh my.
And I still, to this day, am jealous because you'll talk about the teacher. You had him. My brother had him. Both my brothers, cousins,
your brother
sister.
Saved me.
Yeah. But I'm not a part of it, and it kind of makes me upset.
Okay, so this is when, like, the societal pressure to be good at math started. Okay, so I was decent at math in middle school, and it was algebra and geometry. My parents decided to not let me take pre-algebra. They were like, at 7th grade, they were like, Madison can take algebra. Fine, I was smart.
Lord.
Then they put me in geometry. In geometry, I was like, what the fuck are shapes? Like, what is the angle? What is acute? What is obtuse? Like,
SOHCAHTOA.
SOHCAHTOA, baby. Like, oh my God, whatever that is. That just made me my whole body flinch because it's just put me back into it. And I didn't probably have, like, the greatest teacher, whatever. In 8th grade, I feel like, you know, you just start being like boyfriends and it's fun and, you know, anything else but that. But also, in my defense, I just started volleyball again. Yeah. And it was a lot of stuff going on. My mom, God love her, she can teach me anything but math. So that wasn't happening. And by the time that my dad got home, it was like, gotta go to practice. Yeah. So I took geometry, passed it, fine. And then I got into
algebra. It was like
ninth
trig.
No, it was algebra 2. Okay?
Yeah.
So I got into algebra 2 with the worst teacher, Miss Jones. And she was so mean. She was like this little Jewish lady who, like, just focused on all the wrong things. Like, you'd say that's gay in class, and she had a pride flag, which was fine, and her daughter's gay, and she's like, don't say that, and this is why. And we'd go on a 45-minute lecture about that. She didn't give homework, which was my one saving grace. Yeah. Like, I'm like, just give me the homework. I can at least do that. Yeah. Joan can do it for me. Yeah.
Tutor that we all had.
Joan will help me. But yeah, so I took algebra 2. Ended up getting a C- maybe. Passing. C's get degrees, baby.
Exactly.
But then retook it my sophomore year.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know I did. And then side note, I got super sick my sophomore year and was out of school for like 12 weeks. Got chemistry. I had chemistry. I had algebra 2. So I didn't even learn algebra 2. And then pre-calc happens. And pre-calc was a disaster, but I had a teacher at Poly who was notorious for just giving passing grades. As long as you brought a box of donuts.
He did. I thought he did calc. Oh, whatever.
He did both.
Okay.
He did both. Yeah, so I learned nothing.
You were up and at him.
I mean, I was at Yum Yum Donuts or whatever. What's the one on?
Yum Yum.
Yum Yum. I was at Yum Yum Donuts like multiple times a week. Like, Mom, I need a 20. I need a 20. Like, I'm failing. She's like, take a 20. I'm like, okay. And then, you know, have to go to Starbucks too and then not show up. So my, you know, my parents were like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, at one point they did call. Like, the teacher knew my parents personally and, like, called and was like, look, we're having an issue. At 0 period, which if you know me.
Ooh.
I'm not. Oh, one, I'm
Was
barely.
that start 7? 6?
Oh, God, probably like 4 a.m. I have no idea. Like, there's no way I was going
Once
there.
the rooster crows.
Yeah, it's like, for one, I'm like barely getting to school, but for two, I am not listening to a calculus freaking lesson, okay? I didn't even learn pre-calc, so this is a step up. Didn't even learn algebra 2. This is a big step up, okay? So I remember my parents were like, you need to sit down. I'm like, oh, God, what did I do? You know, I'm thinking that Nora found my alcohol again or like something. And then my dad's like, you have had 76 0 period meetings, and I just found out that you've been present for 12. I was like, you didn't know that when I was upstairs at 7 a.m.?
Exactly.
And I was asking for a 20 every week? What did you think I was doing? You know? Like, really?
Yeah.
So anyway, I like told my dad, I'm like, well, I don't know. It's not my fault I have to take 0. My dad's like, no one told you to go 0 through 4. You could have gone 1 through 5. I'm like, well, who does that? Losers.
I wanted to get out at lunch.
I'm like, I'm not going to community college. Only losers that go to community college
Only
do 1
losers
through
are
5.
doing that.
I'm like, I'm going 0 through 4. So it got to be like, I literally think I had to bring donuts. And my dad's like, I cannot even believe this, but I had to bring donuts. I had like a 42% in the class. But it wasn't just me. Like, again, I'm not stupid.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, the only thing I really got credit for in that class was one time the whole class cheated. And somebody wrote down 5 equals, you know, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
Well, the person they cheated off, it was S equals. So this teacher called everybody up and was like, did you cheat? Did you cheat? And he's like, no. He's like, no. Like, did you cheat? No. Did you cheat? No. I got up. He's like, did you cheat? I was like, yes. And he's like, all right, I'm just going to take that off. You got an 82%. And it was like, I did it.
Honesty wins.
Honesty won. And then at the very end of the class, you know, my mom's yelling at me, and I'm like, Mom, with all due respect, like,
Mom, sit down.
I've got 2 parents. Dad's a financial advisor. He gets the money thing.
Yes.
You are the wife of a financial advisor. You are like me. We don't get it, so you should have sympathy with me right now. Not belittling me. Do you not think I don't know calculus? Like, so it's so ridiculous. You
think I'm walking in there?
And my dad's yelling at me. I'm like, okay, fine. Like, God, I'm like, so glad somebody has faith in me for that. But anyway, I end up bringing donuts for a long time, and then my grade's still not good enough. You know, I'm like,
what was the donuts like? What you just got?
You got like 150 extra points, like credit points.
What?
Yeah, like ridiculous. Like, I'm not kidding. And like a pie on Pie Day got you like 200.
He just like have stacks of donuts.
Yeah, well, you just share them with your classmates.
Oh, I thought
so everyone's all texting me like, Madison, show up to class. I'm hungry. I need a donut. I'm like, don't worry, mate. Yum yum.
Yum yum. What do you want? I'm yum yum right now.
You guys want cream filled? What do you want? Like, oh, you guys want sprinkle twist? No problem. Just tell Cochran I'm gonna be late again, okay? Because I'm trying to personalize. I'm trying to personalize.
Line is super long.
Like now, okay, Cochran. Here's the deal. Now that I'm personalizing my 2 dozen donuts, it's okay if I show up at 8:05. Yeah. First period will enjoy them. Yes. I'll bring you your 1 donut. But yeah, he just and then in Pie Day. Oh, I just said his name on here. Oops. Curtis Cochran. It's fine.
Whatever.
Everyone knows. I mean, literally.
Yeah. Everyone knows what
everyone knows. And then on Pie Day, if you brought a pie, you got like 1,000 points of extra credit. Like, I'm not kidding. So you'd go in there and then like get a, you know, whatever. So that and then at
where'd you go for the pies?
The pies?
Staters?
No, Marie Callender's. I had to bring a good one.
Totally.
You know, because I was the delinquent.
You were down.
I was. No one knew.
You're down bad.
And no one knew who I was before class.
You needed Marie's pumpkin.
At the end of that semester, everybody knew who I was in my classroom without me having to be there. And then it was even better because he said that there was like a video at the end that you had to do.
Yeah.
Thank God for Colby, honestly, because we were like, it was the day before it was due, to be honest. The day before it was due, and I'm like, we tried to film our own. Yeah. It's me, Isabel, Sarah Solomon. I don't even know who else, but just like
Mitch. Was Mitchell?
No, they did their own video.
Okay.
Which ours was better, but like they did their own. Actually, no, Mitchell and them were like in trig, I think. They were ahead of me. They like, you know, Patty Miller got them through. Yeah. So they were ahead of me or whatever else. And so it was like me and Isabel and Sarah Solomon for sure. I knew that. we went to go film the video, and Sarah Solomon wanted to make it like Step Brothers, which, sorry, sue me, but I just don't think that movie's even funny. So I know, whatever. I don't think Will Ferrell's funny. Cancel me for it.
Yeah,
Just
I don't
cancel
know.
the podcast.
Yeah, no, I actually, we don't need to go into Will Ferrell.
We can do that. At
We'll
dinner.
bring him on here.
We
We'll
can-
bring him
we
on
can do it
here,
at
and
dinner.
we'll
Okay.
hash it out.
We can do it at dinner. But
Yeah.
yeah. So we went to it was just Isabel's. It was like a disaster. Like we didn't know how to edit. We didn't know how we're like okay, erase it, like deleting it, recording over it. Like it was so bad.
You're on like those flips things.
Sarah Solomon's in a gorilla suit I don't even think that's Step Brothers. Like at some point it
No.
just got weird, and then she's like throwing oranges. Isabel's pouring shots, and I'm like, I have got to call in the big man. So I called Colby. I'm like, please, can you help me? And he's like, come to Champion Lumber, bring a dress. You're gonna play the bitch in The Office, and which I don't even know her name is.
Angela.
Okay, you're gonna play the bitch because like that's just I couldn't be the star.
It fits perfectly.
It just fits perfectly. I'm just gonna cast you, and you're just the bitch. And showed up. He records us. He freaking edits it in one night. Gives it to me in the morning. I go to school. We win.
So you've never seen it? You're just like,
No,
all right.
I never saw it.
Put it in the whatever those are
No, I
called.
never
DVR.
saw it. Colby's like, oh, and Colby met him. They were like, oh, it was fantastic. You played
Yeah.
the bitch so well. I'm like, no.
I remember because I went, and again, I was like 10, but for some reason I wanted to go, and I remember watching you guys film this at Champion Lumber. I remember, like, and most people, normal people that watch The Office, you'd have, like, the blinds, and they do, like, the outtakes or the interviews, and you're just sitting there literally like Angela, like,
yeah.
I don't know why we have to be here.
Well, that was literally what I was thinking.
It's literally,
like, this is
it wasn't an act.
And I
You
told
were
my
in
parents,
full
like,
character.
This is ridiculous. And I have to. My dad's like, if you just would have passed
Yeah.
calculus, you wouldn't have to do the extra credit video.
Did it have to do anything with math?
No, it was just like to make him laugh, and like
Are you
people.
serious?
And you know what's even more pathetic is I didn't even show up the day it was due.
How did you get it there?
I think we gave it to somebody, and then like Dom and I really liked to frequent the bagel, East Side Bagel.
Oh, yes,
or,
in
East
Canyon
Coast
Crest?
Bagel, yeah. So I think we gave it
Delicious.
to them, and then it was like the last week of school. Who was gonna
yeah.
go? I was
Senior
going
year.
to RCC.
Exactly.
What are they gonna fail me?
I dare
did
you.
I
I dare you.
Why did I even do the video? Like,
I don't know.
oh, 'cause my
I guess
friends-
you had a
yeah, okay.
group, you know, of people
I'm a team
that were
player.
going to
I'm a team
that had
player.
things going on.
That were doing something with their lives. They didn't want to be. They didn't want to be held back by the tiger. Okay. So yeah. So I mean, that was like calculus. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, so that was your math.
I don't even know how we got on the tangent, but
Not being good at math. I don't really know.
I don't know. That's why I chose.
But it was
speech,
great.
though,
I
'cause I
think
don't ever have to take a math class.
That's
I had to
probably
take
it.
stats.
But stats isn't horrible. Actually, I don't think I ever took stats.
Yeah, you
I think I took
It was
calculus
fine.
over stats.
Stats was fine, but that was my only math class. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's like my journey.
That's your journey of speech, and you love it.
Yeah, and this is like, if anybody has no idea what they want to do with their life, just go be a speech therapist.
goes speech.
Little, truly, like maybe.
It was not easy though. I remember telling you.
It was not. It was
like practicums.
It
and
was so hard and it was so intensive. But like I really enjoyed it. Like I loved.
But yeah.
This is the thing that's funny is like once I found like even at RCC like I got whatever. I did have good grades. I will say that. But when I got into speech, like getting A's, I remember I cried. Like my dad's like, "Who are you?" Because I got an A or I got a B+ on one of my tests.
Yeah.
My test, not even the class. A B+ on my test, and I was sobbing. I was like, my dad's like, well, okay, what happened? Like, what are your other grades?
Wait, like that wasn't good? Like a B+?
No,
Or
like I was like so no, it wasn't good. Like I'd gotten A's.
Oh, so you did like
So
wow,
I was
so-
devastated because in my undergrad, which is just so dumb, but like I got an A-
Yeah.
in one class. I got a 3.97. I'll never forget the stupid number. Okay? Because I was like, oh my gosh, like what the hell? Like I'm never gonna get in anywhere.
Yeah.
And then my master's, like you had to maintain, but like to get an A was so like we studied forever. My first semester we took 18 units, so like 6 classes. So I was
Yeah.
there literally all day long, but it was great. Like I met one of my best friends, Cameron. I met her there. Like one of my really good friends, Erica, she's getting married this year. Like I've remained really close with a lot of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, the program was like super intense, but it did fly by,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's something that you care about so much. Like
Yeah.
and it's not, there's something so good about like, it's not just you love it, but you're helping these little children.
Yeah, and at this point in my life, like at this point in my career, 2 years in, this year I've just said like, look, if my kids like coming,
Yeah.
then that's a win. And they like love Miss Driver's classroom. They love Miss Driver's classroom too much. Kids show up all the time.
They're a little early and a little late to leave.
They just show up. I'm like, hey, hi, Miss Driver. I'm like, it's just Dreyer. And I told him, I don't even like Miss Dreyer. Like, I feel like an old hag.
Yeah.
Like, you guys, I'm young.
Like, call me Madison.
I'm 29. Like, relax.
Exactly.
They're like, how old were you when I was born in? I'm 5 years old. So now how old are you? I'm like, 29. Oh my. I asked one of my kids, how old am I? Maybe like 50. I was like, they're like, you can't get grades in speech, but let me tell you what you're going to get. I'm like, yeah, try again. But yeah, like they love coming to speech, and like we've had coming back, and I work in a lower income district, so we have like a lot of unfortunate like CPS calls and things like that. And this year, everyone wants Miss Driver in the interrogation. It's me.
Oh, you have to be in there?
Well, they'll like say I'm only gonna tell Miss Dreyer, like I'll only talk to her. So then
that's
they
pretty
knock
cool.
on the door. Yeah, it is cool. I guess.
Not cool of
no,
like you get to be in on it,
yeah.
but like that you have that trust of
yeah, and like they'll say like, I'm
kids.
only talking to her. So then I'll go in, and I've gotten to know the police officer like pretty well. I'm like, that's Miss Driver. Here I am. Like the kid's speech is not getting better, but let me tell you.
But let me tell you,
he loves coming.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
not
he
learning
loves
much,
coming.
but he loves coming.
He loves coming. That's great.
Yeah, so it's like it's totally rewarding, and I love it, and something I can do forever. Like I don't ever imagine me not doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
You can teach my mom.
there are scenarios.
And yeah. I've been telling my mom that she needs to go to speech pathologist.
Why? What happened?
Because there's words that I'm like, she can't say right. It's just like, Mom, like,
yeah, I remember,
it's the
after
tongue,
my
man. Like, I don't know.
After my dad has his, there it goes. I was just waiting for that.
I was waiting for it, but it took me knocking it
Can
down.
I crack a flying ember?
Yeah. You want me to grab it? You want to grab it?
I don't know. I don't want to knock.
Who wants to talk more? You want me to talk or you want to talk?
You would talk.
Okay, well, that was Madison's journey. These are plugged in, remember. Oh, you're good. That was Madison's journey, and I hope that you all enjoyed her community college journey. And if you're thinking about going to community college, know that this is what you could be.
Only legends.
In 10 years.
Yeah. No, right here.
Right here.
Doing
This
speech.
beautiful woman.
Do it way quicker than me, but, I like to do life the hard way.
You know, life moves by so fast. Mm-hmm. In the blink of an eye, it could be gone. You're not promised
That is true.
tomorrow. And
true.
so, what? Take your time.
Take
Do
your time.
what, makes you comfortable. And also,
Go through a
I
fat
love...
phase.
Oh, okay. You got fancy. Yeah, go through a fat phase. Just not during the wedding. Just
Do it all.
or else your aunt will kill you that you almost ripped the bridesmaid's
Do it
dress.
all between the ages of, 18 to 23.
Yeah.
Get depressed, be anxious,
Totally.
go to community college, bust out of the 29 jeans, bust out of the dress, bust out of whatever, get fat, and then just have that come up.
What a convenient time for my dad to die. Thank God it was between those times.
Yeah.
And I'm not 40. I'm like, shit.
I
I guess actually that probably would have been better. That would have been a more convenient time in my life.
So inconvenient to
That
have
would
your
have
dad for longer.
that would have been inconvenient, let me tell you.
No, and you'll get where you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
Just don't panic. And at the end of the day, no one remembers.
And I gotta say, and you know what, you did therapy before it was cool. It didn't take someone dying in your life for that, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I do it now, and I'm a person that I think a lot of people would not expect
I
to
feel like just not should
Dude,
be drinking out of this.
Jesus.
It feels a little aggressive.
I like it.
Just
Yeti!
Yeah, let's go.
It's falling. But I'm the person I think a lot of people wouldn't expect to do therapy. I mean, I guess, going through what I went through would lead me there. But if you're thinking about it, I recommend it. Because
No, you should never. I'm not kidding. My friends, this is no shame to them, but I just think it's what better to do in your early when it's such a selfish time anyway.
yeah.
I used to think oh my god, I do so much for everybody else, and that time I did nothing for anybody. I literally was oh, what time's the party?
I held the alcohol at my house,
Oh my
literally.
God. Yeah.
You took the blame a lot.
I took the blame a lot.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm okay, yeah, blame it on the community college girl, because her life's going nowhere.
You tell my aunt and uncle. Oh, it's Madison. Checks out. Makes sense.
Makes sense. I come over to Brooke and Blair's house, and a giant handle of Smirnoff was found, and I walk in 4th of July, and Mark's found this. Girl said it's yours. I'm yeah, because I drank that all by myself. I'm the one time they had to hide something at their house. I'm you guys can't even get that one done.
Nope.
You guys can't even hide it well enough. They panicked. They probably told Kim, "Oh, she left this here."
Yeah, it's Madison's. It's Madison. It's just a natural slip of the tongue. It's Madison's.
And my mom's again, again. You can't just hide it. I'm okay, whatever. But
Okay, yes, but I was just talking about
therapy.
therapy really quick. Yeah, but I think like it's literally just like it's what I like about it for me, and especially for what I've gone through, is like it's hard for me to talk about it. Like I can talk about it as like a factual thing of like this is just what happened. This happened to my dad. It's my life. This is the day. Yeah. But to go into like to tap into the emotion of it, which is the important part. Like you gotta let it out. You gotta scream. You gotta do those things and think about it. I'm really like if I have like okay, this is at 11 a.m. on Tuesday. This is your job to listen to me, go into it, complain. Like it's like a different thing in my mind where like I can do it.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because I think people think you go to therapy and it's like, well, I went to therapy to bitch about everybody else. Like I truly did.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck him and fuck her and she's annoying and this person. And then I like really realized that everything was shaped back to like me.
Yeah.
Or it's like, okay, well, what can you do to control the situation? Mm-hmm. Or, like, why are you reacting that way? You don't feel good about it. And, like, it's become a lot easier for me now. Like, even relationally, I think, like, I'm already, like, I'm lucky that I'm good relationally with people and, like, can build relationships and keep relationships. But, like, for me, even, it's like, all right, let me take a step back and see, like, what, you know, assess it in a healthy way and not be so influenced by, like, even past like triggers, like things that you would be like reacting to somebody and you're like, why did I do that? And it's like being able to understand and identify your own triggers. And I think now for me, especially at this age, it's like just knowing and like being very confident in the decisions that I make because I'm still learning to like trust myself in those decisions. But therapy's like just, like if you're going, even if you're not going through a hard time or like you just find yourself stuck, like going and it's somebody that just kind of serves as like your blinders for you, like to like, kind of narrow it in to be like, hi, we keep coming back over here and you keep talking about this, so like let's go back over here and see what happens. And then you realize like you do it all by yourself. It's really hard work actually.
It's such hard work. And like every time at the end she'll be like, you worked really hard today. I'll be like, just kind of God damn it, I'm ending it.
Sorry. Okay.
No, but she'll always be like, you know, you worked really hard today, and I'll just kind of be like, I did. I just kind of talked. It's like what I love to do, but it's like, but to tap into like those things that you just don't want to, and you're kind of,
well, you're so vulnerable,
and you're vulnerable,
you're truly, like, I think that's the part too. Like, find a therapist that you are comfortable with.
Yeah.
Going in and crying too, because I remember my therapist like told me like, do you ever notice that when you start to cry, like you end it really quickly, and like those are emotions that are trying to purge, and I'm like, okay, like, you know, it's
but you don't realize those things until
you don't realize it. And then like you do go through that emotional purging. And I will say like with therapy, I have some of like my own insecurities that like pop up here and there. They're not about community college anymore, but they're just about in general.
We've gotten past that.
You're
You're like 80. They're like, why are you so insecure? You're like, I went to community college.
I was a tiger. But yeah, no, like same things come up, but they manifest differently, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, like therapy, I'll go to therapy forever.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna make my kids go to therapy.
Absolutely. Like, so they can talk to them about the problems.
You're gonna hate me at some point, so you should go now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, start them young. Start them young.
Just get in there. Go tell them what happened.
Exactly.
Tell them the truth, but remember, you are entitled to your wrong opinion. Exactly. So when I brief the therapist after, I'll let them know what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's like a great, I don't know, I love it.
I love it too.
Especially with a year like last year. Like I just
it was
needed therapy.
And to get into that, and it's your dad. Yeah. Well, let's just get into that because I don't know how to like intro that. We'll go, but diagnosed with cancer. Yeah. And I almost said excited. I'm not excited to like talk about it because I love your dad. I love your family. Yeah, totally. But in the way of like for me. And that's why I wanted to do an episode about, like, what I went through for me. Like, the second I found out my dad died, like, it was, like, it happened. Like, it was done. Yeah. There was nothing I could do. We didn't have to go to the hospital, and he was super injured. Like, it was nothing like that. It was just, like, I'm done. Now I have to learn how to deal with it. For you, you can go in the diagnosis, but then talking about, like, I just can't even imagine going through what you through. I just want to let you go to that.
It's funny because it's like perspective, because I've actually debated that a lot, like looking what you've gone through, and I have a couple other close friends that lost their parents suddenly, and I've always like debated like what's worse, like right away or like a slow and steady, like you know, seeing it happening and having a ton of anxiety. But I think at the end of the day, like it's a loss of some sort. There's a part of you that feels like you're mourning, or you are quite literally mourning. But yeah, so we found out. My sister and I, Paige and I, like, we laugh still to this day because we were like, God, we were such jerks to Dad, and he had just had this cancer diagnosis and we didn't know. He hadn't told us. He was trying to save our Christmas. And
we didn't know.
We were like,
we hadn't found out yet.
I will tell you what we were saying. Like, it's so, like, Paige and I still laugh. We're like, oh God. We were like, God, if only we would have known. But yeah, so we just came off of 2020. It was 2020. Found out December of 2020, and we had just come off, like, the year. Everyone knows 2020. Yeah. But for most people, 2020 was, like, the worst year of their life. Yeah. And I don't mean this to be a bitch, but 2020 was a really good year for me. Like, just because, and this is what I'm saying, like, yes, lots of death, lots of COVID, whatever, but I didn't think that I'd even get a break from grad school into my job. I was supposed to end after, like, so many years of schooling. I was going to have 6 days off and then start my career. I was beat. I was exhausted. And then the pandemic hit, and I got, like, 5 months of rest. Yeah. Panics. I didn't know if I'd get a job because I was like, oh my God. Like I just went from getting my master's to, like, they're not hiring in the schools or, like, anywhere anymore because it's a pandemic. Yeah. So yeah, we would had just celebrated Christmas, and we had no idea, like, at all. My parents knew that my dad was, like, going through some testing, but we didn't know. I remember my dad came home one night, and we were all of us girls were home, and what it is?
You keep going.
No, we had. Do you want me to put it out there? What it is?
No. I'm gonna get hacked. Yeah, everyone's gonna they're just gonna go to the docs of this episode.
They're gonna leak this.
And leak it. Yeah. And they're not even gonna watch because they'll just be like, oh, they're talking about this.
I know, I forgot I'm the secret guest. But anyway, yeah, so my dad, and it's so funny because I was so traumatized because we were in high school, and my dad, like, when we have, like, family meetings, and it'd be like some stupid contract, like, I will make my bed every day and clean the kitchen and use kind words, and we had to, like, sign this contract. Now looking back, I'm like, why did I sign that stupid fucking thing? I didn't agree to that, you know. But it was, like, literally familial contract, or, like, somebody did something, and, like, we've got to meet as a family. And so at 28 years old, I was like, oh my God, I'm all, what did I spend on the credit card?
What's the new contract?
You know, I'm like, what did I do? Like, I'm all financially independent, and I'm, like, not living at home. I'm like, what did I do? My God. Like, what's the contract going to say? I'm like, I'm not signing it. Fuck that. I'm not signing it. Anything I agree to.
Madison says that. She's like, I just want you to know I'm not signing.
I don't agree. Yeah. And, yeah, so my dad, he sat us down and just said, like, you know, I went and got some tests done, and the news isn't good. They found cancer, and but what's really interesting about my dad's cancer, like, diagnosis, is everything started, like, so high. Like, we were like, everything was great. Like, found cancer, 98% survival rate. I'm gonna get a surgery done, and thank God we found it, and we're gonna move on. Yeah. Okay, so, like, at the time, it's, you know, whatever. 2 days later, the next day, Paige and I were, like, in there. I'm like, damn, I feel so bad. Like, 'cause my dad was grumpy before Christmas, right? He's like, just the freaking Grinch. And we were like, what is wrong with him? You know, like, why is he doing that? And the flying ember was a bad idea. Sorry.
Push it down.
like, I gotta remember I'm on air. Yikes. But yeah, so, like, Paige and I were laughing. We're like, oh my God, like, we're like, my God, Dad's such a dick. He's being such a dick today. Blah, 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 blah. While he's sitting by himself knowing he has a cancer diagnosis.
Oh my
and,
God.
So we
still his kids.
Yeah, still his kids and his wife and, like, everything else. And he was genuinely just wanted us to have, like, a good Christmas. Yeah. So, yeah, he told us, like, obviously, I think, that, like, I cried. You know, we were like, okay, like, but everything felt good and whatever else. We start the new year, and I call UCLA. My mom, I think, called, like, Loma Linda. We got him set up there. He goes in. They both say the same thing. And it's, like, it's funny because, like, the only thing my dad kept saying is, like, we had a family friend who was a urologist, and my dad's like, God, if only he were here. Like, if only he were here, like, it would just be so easy. Because it's, like, gets scary of, like, do we do surgery? Do we do radiation? They never mentioned chemo at this point, which was, like, great. Oops. And, so, yeah. They go to Loma Linda. They go to UCLA. They get the same treatment plan. So my dad says, all right, I'm going to go with Loma Linda. It's closer to the house, and no problem. Well, UCLA says, hey, like, we have this new scan that's come out, and it's a PET scan and a CT scan all in one. And because of the cancer that he had, it's like pretty developing. Like they have like all these new FDA like scans and treatments and hormones and everything else is coming out. So, you know, my dad was like, okay, let me go, you know, let's do this scan. But they're like, but he had his surgery scheduled for like March 15th, let's say.
Yeah.
And they're like, but we can't scan you until, you know, a week before that. So my dad's like, well, what about my surgery? Like, I'm just going to cancel it. And so he was like, I'm just not going to do the scan.
Yeah.
My mom was like, that sounds like a bad idea. Like, if this can tell you, and basically what the scan does is it scans your whole body and then lights up, like, literally exactly what lymph nodes, if it spread, where the cancer is in your body. So my mom's like, it sounds like we should be doing this, you know?
Yeah.
So my dad does the scan. And I remember I was driving down to the river with a family friend of mine. And I was driving, and we're having a great time, and I'm thinking, like, nothing's going to happen with the scan. We were a little nervous, but we figured everything was contained to one area. My mom called, and she's like, hey, I don't want to, like, ruin your weekend. We can talk about it when you get home, but, like, the cancer has spread. So it's, like, it's in the body now. It's in the lymph nodes and some organs or something, surrounding organs. And so had a meltdown, and that's when I really started to have a lot of, like, anxiety, because I was like, okay, like, I thought, oh, we're the lucky ones, like, it's contained, cut it out, that's it,
we're done,
we're good, no cancer's in there. So now I'm thinking, like, wow, we really have, like, cancer now. So it all, like, blurs together at this point, but, like, my dad goes to Loma Linda, and they, for, like, an appointment, they're like, let's change the treatment plan, let's do some radiation. So my dad still decide, I don't remember why we didn't, like, follow up with UCLA. I think that they just thought, like, well, someone was recommended at Loma Linda to us. And so I think my dad was like, well, that's who they recommended. And, you know, they had said, like, oh, if my husband was still alive, this is where I would, this is who he would tell you to go to, probably. So my dad's like, all right, I'll be faithful to that, this and that. Well, he goes to Loma Linda, and I was in this room doing stupid distance learning. And my parents go to the meeting, and I call them, and I'm like, they're basically going to go through their radiation treatment plan, if I recall correctly. And my dad, I ended up calling to or they say, when are you free? And I said, oh, like, probably like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I was like, I've got 10 minutes, and then I got to get ready for a birthday dinner that night. And I called my dad, and I'm like, hey, Dad, like, how's it, like, how was your appointment? And I just remember him saying, like, it's not good, Pino. And that's what he said. And so I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, they have told me to get my affairs in order, and that there's nothing that they can do. So we went from, like, the highest news you can, like, the best news you can get of, you've got cancer, but it's, you know, totally survivable, don't worry about it, to now, like, you might not make it. Or you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
They, like, pulled him into a room. The doctor told him, like, this is going to turn into metastatic bone cancer. This is going to be a really painful journey for you. And so I was, like, I don't think I've ever, like, and I'm sure, you know, like, full sobs to where you're like, oh my gosh, like, it's terrifying. And I remember just thinking and telling my mom, like, I just wish, and I don't mean this to be, like, you know, dramatic, but I'm like, I just wish it happened to me, because my dad always, like, same how you feel, I'm sure, is like, my dad always fixed everything. So if it was me, I know that my dad would find a way to fix it. And when it's your dad, it's like you've said in your podcast, like, they're so invincible, and you don't imagine anything bad happening. So for, like, you know, and it was just like, I didn't even know what to do. I was like, I feel horrible, but the entire process is very odd, because I felt like I was so in shock. Like, I would talk about it so nonchalantly. Like, oh, yeah, he's got cancer, and it's this and it's that. But, like, I'm riddled with anxiety, but, like, no emotional purging. Every once in a while. Like, and my roommate, she knows. Like, I'd come home and be like, well, it's terrible, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, so, I mean, the good news is that somehow we got back in contact with UCLA. Like, they thought my dad was a patient, or my dad reached out and asked for a second opinion, and they were like, I think the doctor literally said, like, what the hell are they telling you over there? Like, you're going to be fine. And
that's insane.
It's insane, right? So, like, if you didn't get the second opinion, then my dad's just sitting here, you know,
thinking
dead,
the worst is going to happen.
I don't know what that point happens. But, so he ends up switching officially to UCLA, gets through his radiation, had 39 days of radiation, and still at that point, like, it was hard. We went down and, like, saw them a couple times, but he was, you know, he was going through radiation, and they were busy, and that's what they were, and my mom was like, seriously, it's funny, when tragedy hits, it's, like, so, it's very interesting to watch, like, your family dynamic almost change.
Yeah.
Like my mom and dad, I almost feel like they reverted back to, like, high school. Like, they were, like, so in love again, and, like, holding hands, and my dad's, like, the way he talks about her, and it's, like, funny. Not that they weren't, like, lovey-dovey before, but it was, like, it was almost, like, for everybody that it was, like, very eye-opening. Like, wow, this could change, and I'm sure, like, you guys have thought, like, wow, life can change, like,
in an instant.
like that.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah, you went through UCLA, and, then I think you were so in the commotion of it, like, so much was happening that I never really took the time, which is funny because, like, I talk about, I did therapy all these years, and I'm so woke, and I'm so know myself so well, and it's ridiculous.
I went to community college to find myself.
And then I'm sitting in the situation, and I'm like,
I have no idea what to do.
like, our joke, like, I feel like I went and I was like, I'm at community college, like, what do I do? Help me find my identity. And my therapist is like, fuck yeah, this is an easy $50 a session. And then I come with cancer, and she's like, oh,
she's like, shit,
I really gotta work now. And so, like, right around that time, like, she was great, she served a purpose, but I did switch. I didn't even go to therapy. I just said I can't go to her anymore. Like, I just was like, you know, it was like your stereotypical, like, and how does that make you feel? And a lot of my therapy actually was, like, about COVID, and, like, oh, like, I think you have a lot of anxiety because COVID. I'm like, or because my dad has cancer.
It's probably the bigger end of it.
I don't know if you missed the meltdown, but I just told you my dad.
She was on mute and camera off.
It was on Zoom. I was like, yeah. She's like, I'm sorry. My kid's going crazy in the background.
Yeah, sorry, I muted it.
I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like,
I muted your mic.
She's like, your crying made me feel so uncomfortable. I had to leave. I'm like, yeah. So, where I was going with that.
You were.
Oh yeah.
Go
it was like totally, like, you know, it was just, it was go. It's funny. I actually remember telling, like, one of my really good girlfriends, and we hadn't told anybody yet, but, like, she's a nurse, and so I was like, hey, Shell, like, this happened, and I told her, and she thought I was, like, kidding, because I didn't cry.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like, my dad has, you know, cancer. I'm like, but you can't tell anybody, because her father-in-law is my dad's best friend, and my dad hadn't told them yet, and, like, all this stuff. So I was like, you can't tell anybody. And she's like, I can't, like, what? I'm like, yeah. She's like, what's the emotion? And I'm like, I don't know, like, I think it'll be fine. Like, you know, it's good survival rate. And then it, like, happened. But, right, my dad finished treatment, I think, in, like, September, maybe early October. And it's actually funny because I remember you talked about how you were having, like, I think you said you had, like, a full-blown panic attack or something. Like, you had a lot of anxiety. Probably. You felt like you were going to have.
Was this after my...
Was this your first episode, maybe? Like, that you were talking about? Yes.
Yes. Oh, I found out, and then that next morning when I had to fly home was my first real panic attack. Yeah. Yeah. That I think I've ever had.
Yeah, and I'd had, like, panic attacks, like, and, like, I struggle with anxiety, so, like, I'd had them, but it was very interesting because I had your dad and your grandma's funeral. Yeah. And I remember, like, that whole day feeling, like, really agitated. Like, I was unsettled, and I was like, wow, this is, like, going to be so hard, and it's so hard because, like, I love your family, and I love, like, the Boone family, and, like, crazy, like, you guys' story is so tragic in the sense of, like, you just 2 unexpected losses in the span of a week. And so I was thinking it was a lot of that. I'm like, okay, and I get to the funeral, and you know, sad, cried, and, like, I was like, okay, but it was a really, like, beautiful service. And I got in the car that night, and I left my parents, and I was so agitated. Now I'm realizing, like, I didn't emotionally purge, like, at all through my dad, except for when he told me he was gonna die. Like, I'm gonna die, and I was like,
like that shed a tear.
like yeah, that. But then, like, after that, it was like nothing
shut it
happened.
down.
Like, I was like, all right, it's fine. Like, we're gonna move on, and we're gonna get it going, and it was just fight or flight mode. And driving home that night, I just started to, like, I had a horrible panic attack. Like, I actually truly understand when people say, like, I thought I was gonna die. Like, I genuinely could not stop. Like, I was hyperventilating, I'm crying, I'm calling my dad, and, like, I don't, from what I now know, my sisters, like, my dad was, like, so concerned because he was like, I've never heard that out of her. I've cried a lot, like, but it was, like, a true, like, oh my God, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And you start thinking about a lot of stuff. Like, you start thinking, you know, like, like, what do you mean? What if it doesn't? What if nothing happened? And what if in 2 years he's dead? And what if this, like, what are we gonna do? And what I'm gonna do? And, like, he's my, like, you know, like one of my people. And
Yeah.
like, it just would be such a, and then you start thinking about your family.
Yeah.
Like, I think being the oldest too, not saying that my like younger sisters don't look at me and like protective too, but like for me, I'm like, oh my God, like I've got my mom who's gonna lose her partner, and I've got my siblings, and like it wasn't even so much about me, but then that after that, like I think for like 5 days, I'm not kidding, like I was so depleted. I couldn't even, like I couldn't call people, I couldn't really talk to people, and then it was really crazy because as open as I thought I was about everything, I remember telling Maddie, like, this has been the worst year of my life, and she kind of looked at me and she was like, I would have not guessed that, like, and she lives with me, you know, so it's like I thought I was being so transparent, but in that moment I realized, like, all right, I gotta go sit on someone's couch and go see a shrink. Like, I've got to talk about some stuff, and it's funny because you don't realize how big your, like, everyone has traumas, right? But like that was the biggest trauma I'd been through. This is the biggest trauma you'd been through, and
what a way to start.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's great.
Like, only go up.
I'm like watching Gossip Girl, and Bart Bass dies, and I'm like, shit, like, that's rough.
Not Bart Bass.
Like, not Bart. And I'm like, I remember I was watching it with like the Duttons or something. They're like, we can turn it off. I'm like, I gotta watch it. Like, it's the storyline of every show.
Yeah, you're like, there it goes. I know. And like, and like, I remember, it's funny, we were reading a book club book, and there was, it's in 5 years.
I finished that. That was our book club book.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
we'll talk about that. Yes,
but there's a cancer line in it, and the girl who had like picked the book, she calls me and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't know that there was cancer in it. And I'm like, it's fine, dude. Like, don't worry about it. You know, like I cried and it was good, but even that was like a cathartic cry for me, that I was like, wow, this is like stuff you had to purge. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and looking back on like my dad's journey, like, people can talk crap on Riverside all they want, you know, and like say whatever, but like the support system that comes from it is like so insane. It's actually funny too, because not even just saying this because I know your mom's gonna be listening, but like one of the nicest text messages I received was from your mom, and it was like, I think even perceiving her was different because she had been through this tragedy. So like, not that she wasn't soft before. I mean, your mom's like, she's hard on the outside.
She has the biggest heart, but she is very
she's cut and dry. Like, it is what it is. And I remember her sending me, like, I remember working out, and she sent me this like the nicest message, but like people, it was like, it was overwhelming at times where I was like, oh my gosh. And then, you know, and then also with tragedy, it's like different too, because like you have people that think you're gonna like that, you'll think people that'll step up, you have people that don't, you have people that do, that you're like, I never expected that person to be as such like a positive, you know, support system, or like just be so involved. But like, and it's fine. I realized, like, you know, some people, like your mom said, like some people are comfortable with it, some people aren't, and like at the end of the day, like, we're all kind of selfish in the sense of like, this isn't part of my life or whatever else it is. But like, I was so thankful for Riverside. Like truly, Riverside. Like people that knew my dad, and it's also very cool, like, you know, I think it was you that was saying this in another podcast, but like people being able to share their memories of my dad, or, like their favorite times and their experiences, like, oh, my dad reminder, or your dad's gonna get through it because remember the time X, Y, and Z happened. And it was really cool. So I think sometimes in tragedy too, like even like my dad's tragedy, and like now, he is in remission now, so that's, that's
the important part to talk about. You're like, you end it, you're like, it's still horrible. No, we are good.
We're in remission, which was like amazing news, and like honestly feels like a miracle, but it's still traumatizing. It is still traumatizing at times that I find like I have a lot of anxiety, or when every time that they have a doctor's appointment, I'm like, my dad's like, Madison, I'm literally going to get my toe looked at. I'm like, but what if?
But what if he sees something on the toe? It's like
other than, like,
no, it's so
just
true.
A lot of anxiety that happens, but like, it
completely alters your view on life. And that's something I actually talk about in therapy a lot, is like your vulnerability to the world. Like, for 1 second you feel like, I know bad things happen, I get it, I've seen it in other people's lives, but like, it's not gonna happen to me. Like my mom saying when she was walking with her friend Meryl, who lost her son, and my mom was such a good friend and she'd listen and just be there for her, but she's like, in her head, like, God, I can't imagine going through this. This is never going to happen to me. And then it happens to you. And then all of a sudden you've gone from that view to like, well, why couldn't more just happen to me? Like that was like probably the third anxiety attack I had was when my mom broke her leg. Yeah. I had to call my therapist. We're up in, Park City skiing. And I'm like, my mom just broke her leg. She's going into surgery. And like my biggest fear was like, what if she dies in surgery?
Yeah.
Because why not? Like these horrible things have happened. Why can't more? Like
totally. I mean, that does make you like nervous for everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. It like, and that's the part I'm trying to get past is like the fear and just like letting it be that like, look, you're right. You're not promised tomorrow. You're not promised like the next moment and trying to live in that. But it is really hard when I go through that to where I'm like, oh, like we were talking about like my dad's next treatment plan. And like I found myself in the car like panicking because I was like, but it's not even for now. Like it's not till the end of the year or like the end of next year. And it's not or the beginning of next year. And like everything's good right now. Yeah. And my mom had this stupid saying, and every time I'd be like, this whole thing, my mom's like, "Are we good right now?" And I'm like, "No." No, but like then it was funny because it's stupid little saying of like, "Are we good right now?" Like you're panicking about things that yes they may happen, but are we good right now? And I could calm down. And I found myself in the car like, "Okay. Good right now."
Yeah.
Yes. We're good right now.
We're good right now. We're good right now. Yeah.
Like, and it was not. That was cruising. I was like, yep. Dead and good right now, and I'm gonna get home. But like, it really was. And yeah, things are, and it makes you look at things. But it's funny because even like your tragedy of all of that, like I look at what you guys went through. And I was talking to Courtney Hayner. Yeah. Who lost her dad to cancer. I remember in the very beginning, she sent a message like, if you want to get dinner, let's do it. And so I did. And I remember talking to her, and halfway through, I was like, I'm an idiot. Like, and she's so gracious, and she's so like, anything you need, I remember it. And I remember exactly what you guys are going through, and it's this and that. And I remember thinking, like, I'm complaining to her about a hypothetical situation right now. Like, what if my dad dies? And she's sitting across there being like, my dad did die. And so, but like, I don't think anybody, like, trauma comparing, like she never once I think sat there and was like, shut up. Like she was like, no, it sucks so badly and it makes you softer and like more compassionate to be like, this is
and sometimes it's just nice that it's not your situation. It's like I would have friends that would complain about, and the thing is my age, you're in college, and sometimes your biggest thing is like a bad relationship that you're in or different things like that, and sometimes it is bigger of like maybe your parents are going through something and people would apologize, be like, I'm so sorry that I'm even complaining about this. I'd be like, please complain about it. Like, we're not talking about me, and that's great. And it's like, but it's like, it doesn't diminish that, like, everyone's got shit. Everyone going through something. Like,
yeah, God made us, and he wasn't like, boyfriend drama.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Daddy issues. The whole boyfriend. It's like, it's like when you pour a mimosa. We're the champagne is our daddy issues. Orange juice is relationship.
Just a drop.
Just a little splash.
God's like, oh God. No.
Daddy issues are like
God forbid. Some girls I'm like, God, like, give another boyfriend?
Yeah, Lord.
And he's like, oh, we're gonna.
I can't imagine being in your position.
He's like, we're gonna put you through the ringer.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever.
And then we're gonna make a relation. It's gonna be very difficult for you to be in a relationship because you lost the only man that's ever been that's ever loved you.
It's like throw in cancer and a whole lot of pandemic.
We should make that meme. It's like the buckets, and it's like daddy issues, relationship trouble.
Yeah. No, literally, it's like one ice cube, and which is fine. I mean, whatever.
The one thing that gets me to tear up, I'm like,
yeah.
It's totally fine.
I'm like, oh my God, like you soft bitch.
Like, Alex, are you thinking about your dad? I'm like, no, I'm thinking about I've never had a boyfriend.
Literally, I'm like the dreaded question when I go to weddings. They're like, I'm like, oh my God, like, do you want a +1? Like, you might have one by then, and I'm like, please, God, no, don't give me the +1. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, just don't. Leave it out. Leave it out. It is. I will announce when there's a +1 in the picture.
I've always said I will either just elope and just announce I'm married, or I am yodeling from the mountaintops that I had. It will not be a secret when I have a boyfriend.
No, you need to yodel.
I will. I mean, don't tempt me on the mic. But, like, no, like, it's just funny because people are like, oh, God, and that's just become now, what used to be my biggest trauma, now I'm like, oh.
Like, no, yeah.
I'm like, oh, cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, do I want a husband who could maybe get cancer?
Literally, I'm so scared. And this is actually something we can talk, well, what time is it? We have dinner reservations. What time do we need to leave?
7:55.
Oh, okay.
So we've got 20.
Perfect. We've got
I
some
could
time.
leave at 8.
But I was going to talk about, because who I have on next week also lost a parent. And we always talk about, like, relationship things. But, like, one thing that scares me for all the men that are thinking about asking me out right now.
And if you're watching, she probably doesn't want you to ask her out. Like, that's how it works, right? Like, watch.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's over here. It's on this side. I thought it'd come up, like... Yeah, if you're watching, I don't want you to ask me. They don't, if they're watching, they don't want to ask me out. They've seen me pour this margarita probably 3 times, and then I'm drinking this. They're like, this is not the girl.
And I had to go for the whole Yeti to make
And then the parents want to meet me. They're like, she started doing podcast, watch. And they're like, ooh.
Like, honey, that's what we call damage.
Yeah, damaged. Baggage.
And it's heavy.
I never thought I'd be a girl with baggage, I'm not going to lie.
And it's not the rolling kind.
Oh my God. But no, but it's scary. Like you said, like they could get cancer. But also, and I've thought about this a lot, I'm like, so my dad was the one man that, like, you know, loved me. Like, I guess I have brothers. And they love me. But it's different with a dad.
Chase started loving you recently.
No, Chase, once that happened, Chase and I have been very close. We've spent one too many days together recently. I'm kidding. We've had a great time. He texted
Chase,
me.
let's not revert to old times. We're still going through trauma.
We're still going through trauma. Last night, I'm upstairs. He's downstairs. He texts me. He's like, do you want anything from Islands? Like, we've grown.
Yeah, you have.
Like, we've really grown in our relationship. But, like, the fact that, like, so my dad knows everything about me. He knows my weaknesses, you know, everything. He loves me the most in the world. I love him most in the world. Like, my man.
Ooh,
man.
Bo, did you hear that?
No, I meant the man that I love most in this world. But I'm, like, thinking about it, I'm like, one day, getting in a relationship opens a completely new door of grief. Because you've got to, like...
Well, I think just even unpacking it. Like, for you,
yeah,
like,
unpacking
now
it.
I'm able to, like, go in and be like, my dad was in remission. But, like,
Yeah.
that's a whole component.
Oh, rub it in.
No.
Rub it
I'm giving you credit where credit is due. And my therapist's number. But no, like, that is a whole
I got my own
thing
girl.
that would cause me anxiety in the sense of, like, I gotta... And I've talked to a couple of friends
I gotta
that
go into
lost
it,
their
yeah.
dad that have never... they don't have, like, a boyfriend when it happened.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, it's, like, so... Like, the like, the family questions come up. Like, tell me about your family. And are you on a first date? Like, oh, my dad died in a plane crash, like, a year ago, and I started a podcast because...
No, but I've literally had people, like, just people in general, or, like, sometimes guys, and, like... And it's, like, I just think about myself in that position hearing that, and I would be like... I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And I just am so nonchalant about it. I'm like, no, it's totally fine.
Well, I mean, you do. Like, you almost have to preface it, like, yeah, like, my mom lives in Newport, my dad, no, like, but like, it's fine.
All good.
Yeah.
Like, totally fine.
Yeah.
But, like, I think about that, I'm like, yeah, getting in a... But then also, I'm like, you could just, like, you know all this, you know, like, my deepest wounds, and you could just, like, go and, like, leave. Like, that's terrifying. That's what scares me.
But guess what? Everyone's got shit, so your
Everyone's
boyfriend's
got
baggage
shit.
might not roll either.
That's true.
Might not
It
roll.
might be worse.
You might unpack it and be like, you brought a bikini top but no bottoms?
Yeah.
To Newport Beach.
I was going home to
October?
Newport.
Yeah.
I might have needed my bikini.
You're like, oh god, that's bad. You know, like, you never know. And it's just like, yeah, everyone's got it.
Everyone's got it. That's why I started
I think
this.
it's, like, so fun to trauma share.
It's so much fun. It's that is another
the funniest
reason I do
jokes
this.
come from
Yes.
it.
And, like, I'm saying, when I talk about the people who've gotten, like, the Duttons, you know, they lost their mom, and I've talked about them a million times on this, but, like, it's really nice to just sit down with somebody and just be like, one time we were in Dallas, I was visiting her, and we were at this bar, and we were like, you know, I think we're more interested in people who are a bit damaged and have gone through something because you can relate. And they were like, oh, why? What have you guys gone through? And we were like, dead mom, dead dad.
They're like,
oh,
we
shit.
can't relate with you.
Yeah, they picked up their drinks and walked away.
That's it. You're like, oh, okay.
No, but, like, it's very nice to trauma share.
Yeah, no, it is. It's like, I think we have to, like, normalize it, too, because...
Yeah.
It's like our parents' generation, man.
Yeah.
Like, they've been through some shit.
Yeah.
But they don't talk about it. They're like, oh, it was normal.
They don't talk about
I'm
it.
Like, that's not
I'm
normal.
fine. Good.
And it's all fine until I start being like, yeah, my mom one time, my dad one time.
Yeah, then it's like...
Then it's like, no.
Don't you dare open your mouth.
Do you even know what I went through? I'm like,
Do you even know? Or have you seen the TikTok?
Pours the tea? Like, no, that's what I've been trying to get you to share.
Literally. Have you seen the TikToks where it's like my mom talking about her walk to school and it's like trudging through the mountains and the valleys and the hills?
No.
But it's so true. They'd be like, you don't even know. I walked to school. Like, my dad would be like, I walked to school. I'm like, you live down the street from your high school.
My dad's like,
I would have loved to walk to school.
You know I grew up poor, right? Like, I can't relate. I'm like, ooh, trauma.
Ooh,
But
trauma.
no, like, it's even that kind of stuff. I'm like, recently he said, like, yeah, we just, like, you know, they worked at, like, such a young age, and, like, their life was so different. My dad's like, God forbid you got a freaking job at 27. But, like, and I did work. He made me go work at Market Broiler in high school.
You
To be a hostess. Yeah, after I quit volleyball. That was another reason I went to, my dad's like, go get a job. And then my sisters, Caitlin did not get a job. Paige went and worked on the weekends. But, like, my dad was like, go get a job. And then I got a menu thrown at me, and I was like, fuck this. I quit.
You got a menu thrown at you?
Menu thrown at me.
Why?
Because I told the guy it was going to be a 20-minute wait, and it was a 45-minute wait.
Okay, that I'd be pissed.
Okay, it was a Friday night. Like, sue me.
And it's Friday night in Market Broiler.
I couldn't pass calculus.
Do the math.
No, did you not hear my last segment? I can't do the math. Okay, I can't. Like, truly, can't do the math. But yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's your shit.
That's my shit.
Did you have any more shit that you want to share? Shit share?
No, I do like
Miss Driver?
I just, oh my God, Miss Driver. No, I do want to do a segment. I want to just have my own. I just want a camera that in my classroom all day long.
I would love that.
To hear what my kids say.
Are there any kid stories that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, I can't name them.
Yeah. We can just name your math teachers.
My math teachers, yeah.
I'm just gonna get sued for slander.
I'm like, that happened. Like, that happened.
Literally, we have so many witnesses.
And the only and I think it's fine to say now, like, the only reason I even passed that Algebra 2 class, get a better stand. Okay.
I know, I will.
No, I love these. They're so cheap and great. So good.
I need to be able to tell my kids. Do you know the stands that I had when I started my podcast?
Yeah, no, truly. Like, I'm like,
they came with the microphone.
Be like, when you get your own, like, podcast studio.
Totally.
I want the button that Rogan has.
Yeah.
That, like, when you have to clear your throat or anything, you can press
Mic
the
off.
button. Yeah, exactly. You can't hear it.
Yeah.
And I wanted Jamie in the room.
Yeah,
Like, Jamie, fact check that.
Fact check that.
I
Did Madison Dreyer go to community college? Fact check
Jamie,
that.
I was
It's
depressed.
true? All right.
I was depressed at 18. Check that.
Check that.
Mm.
Okay, it's good. Yeah.
It wasn't? It was 16?
Oh, shit.
It's a lot to bump into.
Screw you.
I said, what's it like to be a real woman? I'm
I'm
just kidding. It's about me, not you. I get it.
Yeah, it's literally.
It's my shit, not yours.
This is the one time I don't want it to be about me.
Yeah. That's many stories. Yeah, recently, well, I mean, sorry, you're gonna have to drink on this one because it's a funny story. Not you,
Okay.
but people that are listening.
Did we tell them
I asked. Oh.
to drink on? Because the first take that we did, the thing died.
Never mind.
Well, anyway, maybe I'll put it. I'll try. I'll put a little disclaimer at the front. I'll do a little. Hey, this is Alex, your host. Every time Madison drops the F-bomb, is that the one? We want to keep it on that?
I don't even know how many I dropped.
I don't know. I don't
I
I've
don't
been
either.
counting.
Maybe I had not a potty.
But drink. If you're above 21, drink.
Yeah, drink. Just drink anytime that you relate to something.
Or
in
yeah,
this
just
podcast.
drink
Okay,
anytime that
honestly,
you want.
You're stressing me out. I think this thing's just a little bit too. It's like, oh, yep, nope, gonna do it. Gonna do it. I asked my parents actually what the funniest stories I've told them are, and my sister said the number one is just the kids calling me Miss Driver.
That's hilarious.
Like,
Hold the mic.
Yep. Go to the ice chest. 10 minutes before we have to go to dinner.
Yeah, got it.
Another.
Okay.
And then I have this one
I can hold it
kid.
now.
Okay, thanks. Because I'm like doing a lot of holding the show, carrying the show.
Nice.
Love that.
That was good.
Love that. So my kids, they say a lot of bad words a lot of times. And my classroom seems to be the classroom to do that in. I don't.
Are they learning it from Miss Driver?
Nope, Miss Driver does not. I say crap and they get mad at me. I'm like, oh, that's a bunch of crap. And they're like, oh, Miss Driver, you said a bad word. I'm like, no, I didn't. But whatever. I'm all.
Shut up, Jonathan.
I'm like, I didn't say fuck.
Yeah. You want to hear what could come out of this mouth?
Shut the fuck up. No, I'm kidding. I'm so nice to them. But one of my kids, I don't even know if I can do the accent, the Hispanic accent. I don't want to make people think I just don't want people to think I'm like making fun of them. But like they do, and when they say it, it's so cute. And my little kid, he's in first grade, and Luis, he loves to go, let's fucking go, and that's what he does. So one day I told Luis, I'm like, we gotta clean up the language. I was like, you cannot say that, and he's like, I didn't say anything. I'm like, no, Luis, you always say something. It's about 10 minutes later, he's playing a game, and he's all, oh, shit. And I was like, Luis, you cannot.
I'm gonna have him on the podcast.
Like, Luis, you cannot say that. And he's like, say what? And I'm like, you said a bad word. Mind you, my kids cannot, like, I can't spell to them and they know what it means. I'm like, you said the sh word. And he's like, huh? And I'm like, look, you said a bad word.
Mm-hmm.
You can say any other word that you want. I'm like, you can say rats. You can say dang it. He's like this. You can say rats. You can say dang it. You can say darn. You can say, oh man.
You can say god damn
I said,
it.
and for the word you said, you can say shoot.
Mm-hmm.
He raises his hand and goes, Miss Driver? Well, yeah. He goes, I actually did not say shoot. I said shit. I was like, whatever. And
Kids smart.
And then I have another kid that comes in and he's like, oh, and like one time, he's obsessed with food. Like obsessed with food. And he one time got his snack stolen. Like someone stole his snack. He comes in with like good snacks. Like sometimes I'm like, can I have a bite of that? Like a Rice Krispie treat, or like a fruit roll up.
Oh,
and somebody took it on the playground. So now when he comes in, he's like very possessive of it. Mm-hmm. And one time I opened up my refrigerator to get my lunch out, and he was like, mistake. He's like, wow, Miss Driver, what are you gonna eat for lunch? And I was like I don't know what I had, like a salad. And he's like, oh, what did you have for breakfast? I had eggs and some bacon. And he's like, oh, well, what did you have? I thought you'd never ask. I had a Crunchwrap Supreme. I'm like,
shut up.
No, and then I'm all, what are you having for lunch? A bean burrito. And tonight, I'm having carne asada fries. I'm all, oh
my God.
It's too much. And then my kids, like, because it's Hispanic, like, there's a lot of Hispanic families that live there. Like, they're all second language. English is second language learners. And I was, during distance learning, I was, like, trying to help some of my kids. We were working on the B sound. I can't hear you that well. And I was like, all right, say crab. And the mom's all, okay, say crap. Say crap. And I'm like, okay, say yellow. She'll say jello. Say jello. And I was like, no, say yellow. So it's like stuff like that. And then I had my kindergartners, which like, they can't say their F's. They can't say their S's because it's like it's a speech thing. I won't get into it. But one of my kids, you can barely understand what he's saying. And all of a sudden he's all, what the fuck? And I was like, what? And I was like out loud, I was like, what did you just say? And the other kindergartner was like, he said, what the buck? I was just like, okay. And we were practicing with like barbecue one time. And I was like, all right, we're going to say barbecue. All right. So barbecue. And he all of a sudden he goes, bar-Q-B. Oh, no, that's not it. I don't know. What did you say?
What did she say? I don't know.
I don't know what she said.
Maddie's yelling in the background.
Yeah, Maddie's yelling. It has funny stories. But, like, yeah, distance learning. What'd she say?
I don't know what she's saying.
Pause. Say it again?
Oh, that's her favorite story.
Yeah, so now I have friends that whenever they say they're going to a barbecue, they're like, the first thing I think is, bar-Q-B. And it was like, he's like, no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I was like, okay.
Do you laugh? Like, when those things happen, you laugh?
Like,
okay.
When a kid said, what the buck? They both said, what the, he said, what the buck? And then they got into, like, how their parents let them, like, he's like, yeah, when I ride with my daddy in the car, he lets me flip people off. But only when my mommy's not there. I'm like, you're 5 years old. Yeah. He's like,
teach him young, baby.
And he does it like this, too. So, like, he learned it from his dad.
Yeah.
Like, he's all, I'm also, you just flip random people off. He's like, yeah.
It's like a movie. Like, you like that's what you'd see in Step Brothers. Is like, it's this 5-year-old flipping you off.
Yeah, that or like the random farts in session, and you're like, who did that? And they're like, you? I'm like, no.
Like, whoever smelt it, dealt it, Miss Driver.
Well, I've had like kids like rip. I'm like, 4th grade, and then they're like, that was you. I'm like, no, it wasn't. Well, don't be foul. That was you.
Don't be rude.
So I could like probably write a book on the funny stories.
I think that you should write. That would be funny. It's like Andy Cohen's Housewives book.
Yeah, no, like
you could write a speech mythology by Miss Driver.
I have so many that like people will be like, remember when that kid? And I'm like, no, because it happens every day. And people are like, tell me a funny story today. I'm like, I think I'm like immune to it. Like things happen, and I'm like, huh? So yeah, I mean, that's like my shit for now.
That for now.
Like,
let's hope it doesn't get worse. But you know, life goes on. It gets worse.
It's cyclic.
It always gets worse. So, but you know, we're doing good now.
Yeah, like it's fun to talk about, and you can relate.
So
to people
much fun to talk about.
Like,
yeah. No, but I do love relating to it. I love laughing about the little things that people wouldn't understand, like, that you can laugh about. It's like, yeah, I didn't want to shove a, Olivia's party burrito down my throat the day that I found out my dad died.
I will say, I know you guys were so disgusted with the food, but when I came down, like, a couple days
You came down a couple days after.
And it was lit. Like,
there was so much food. We had a food train.
Like, whoever delivered 2 dozen of Dad's sugar cookies, and then Cinnabon.
This will make
me
feel better.
And then the Chicalingas.
The Cinnabon. Oh my god, the Cinnabon.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, sorry about your dad. But
I am so sorry. That's so shitty.
Can I get more cinnamon rolls? I remember, like...
Can I microwave this?
I remember, like, going into your guys' fridge, and I was like, Alex, can I throw stuff out?
You organized the fridge.
I was like, Alex, I need to...
I was like, I don't know.
I was like, there's not enough room for the mango carts, so
the mango
can
carts
I
and the
throw
Cinnabon.
out some of these pastries from Panera? Because you guys have Cinnabon out there. You don't need a 2-day-old cinnamon roll when you're getting
the Cinnabon's in the pantry. It's only gonna last so long in there.
And it was like, ding dong, flowers. I'm like, where are we gonna put them? Like, I remember...
put them on the stairs.
I remember one of my friends was like, they got so many flowers. She was like, my allergies acted up. When she lost her dad, she's like, we had to move flowers outside and they didn't stop coming. And I would go over to her house too, and she's like, come over. There's so much food. And I'm like,
there's literally so much food.
And he had a cream pie? I'm like, who brings a pie?
I was great for not great for, like, that first week I had no appetite. I didn't eat. But then, I got myself through that first week. Then I got an appetite.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, I haven't eaten in a week. And it was just like, shove the mini burritos down.
There was so much. It was like insane. Which is like also
insane.
Just like shows like this
well, it shows
support.
The community, which is
but
amazing.
But it is funny because now, like, after watching people go through like deaths of dads and family members, and I'm like,
literally so many. Like my mom talking about the gourmet group, with the Millers and everything. Yeah. I was like, this is cursed.
No, it is. No, it is. I'm like, get out. I'm like, anybody that's has a living spouse, I'm like, run.
Never get married.
Yeah, like, go.
Don't get in a relationship.
But it's so funny because now I really do think about, like, okay, if someone loses, like, my friend just lost her mom, and I'm like, okay, do I need to send a flower? I'm like, I'm not sending flowers. I'm not sending food. So I just called her. I'm like, want to go for drinks?
Yeah.
Like,
I think I drank about a bottle of Cocoa Bon a night. $9.99 at any of your local convenience store.
Thank you, Joe.
I don't even think it's $9.99. It's my dad's favorite wine.
Yeah, no, it's so good.
It's really good.
I had like such a we have to get into that later, but I had such like a funny night with your dad the night he introduced me to Cocoa Bon and then told me about Mango Cart. It was like
he discovered it.
I also had like the most fun with your dad in like his last year of life. Like I'd never had better conversations with Joe than during quarantine. Well, Joe was like liquored up and telling me like making the most inappropriate commentary about people at the parties, and I was like, oh my god. I'm like, Joe, bring it down. He's like, who cares? She knows she hates her. I'm like, no, she doesn't know.
Mans could be funny.
Yeah, but it was
you crack me up.
It was so quiet, and then just a couple glasses of wine, and it was like
or be an Uber driver. That man could talk an Uber driver's ear off.
Oh my god.
Really? So do you like driving Ubers? Where's the furthest you've driven? Where do you like to drive? Any interesting stories?
Like, are you nervous talking?
Yeah, we
could have filled in the gaps when we were talking.
Yeah, we literally be in the back of the car and be like, God damn it, he's talking to the Uber driver again.
I know, Joe's like, God, Madison talks so much. I'm like, because you don't talk enough.
Yeah, exactly. But no, you get a couple things,
I had,
and he would be funny.
Just hilarious. Oh my god, we have so much to talk about over martinis, but I think our reservation is...
Yeah, I think our reservation is...
back 4 times.
We've pushed it back 4 times. As you can tell, we can talk. Oh, shit, we do gotta go.
We have 2 minutes, but thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on.
I'm honestly so flattered, and if you guys have made it this far in the podcast.
I really hope so, because we got pretty honest, and that's what I want.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited to... Oh my god, sleepover and martini. Are you having a martini at dinner?
Am I having well, it depends. I'm not like having like an olive. If it's like a sugar on the rim type of martini, yeah.
Bitch, you have to have like a martini.
Okay, I'll try one. I'll try one.
Talk up your next guest, because that's what you did to me. Let everyone guess.
Oh, I do need... Oh my god, and I have so many things to do.
Okay, yeah. Go.
Thank you guys all for tuning into the 3rd episode. Oh my god, 3rd episode of Everyone's Got Shit. This was my beautiful, amazing, inspiring, doesn't stop talking guest.
Keep going.
Madison Dreyer, blonde, community college, go Tigers, RCC.
Single.
Yeah. And single, baby. She's 29. What's your age range? What will you take? From 15 to like 85?
Anything with a pulse.
Anything with a pulse.
Even if it's light.
Yeah, even if it's a light pulse, we've been through that. Breathing, living, a good time. She will go out on a date with them and get a martini. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope that you made it here, because we talked about some great stuff.
We did.
I hope you laughed. I hope you cried. And, my next guest, I'm just... one of my best friends in the entire world. She's got a lot of shit. We're going to dive into it.
Away.
I know, but it's like, I don't even know what else to say. Like... it's just, you'll see. It's going to be great. And we're going to talk about, you know, more of our insecurities, how, you know, we are horrible in relationships. Not that I have the experience.
Yikes.
But thank you so much. We got to go get some martinis and some good food. Catch you next time.